All right, we are live. We are live right now, y'all. What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club podcast. You guys already know who I am. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show. I am super excited today, y'all. I am super excited today. I thought I'd never meet somebody called Riri or Rhyannon, but we have somebody called Riri Rhyannon on our show. She's one of our Polynesian sisters, all the way from Sydney, Australia. I'm really excited to have her on my show. I just want to say to her directly, thank you so much for taking their time. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I'm very excited to have her on the show and share her life story with all you guys. For everybody that's watching this for the very first time, I just want to say if you're tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Please show some love and support. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And for everybody out there that's been watching my show and showing me a lot of positivity and showing me a lot of great feedback, thank you so much for all your love and support. Definitely inspires me to keep going. So thank you much for everybody. Mad love, mad respect. But let's get back to this podcast. I'm excited to have one of my Polynesian sisters on here, all the way from Australia. Thank you so much. I'll allow her to introduce herself real quick. So go ahead. It's all you.
Thank you. So my name is Rhyannon Sietu. I was born in NZ. I currently reside in Sydney, Australia. I'm half Tongan, half Niuean, and I am 23 years of age.
All right. You ready? Excited?
Yeah, nervous, excited.
All right. Thank you so much. And like I said, thank you so much. I'll say it one more time. Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you on the show. And I know it's kind of early, but thank you for waking up really early all the way out there in Australia and joining me on this podcast. So, but let's get right into it. The very first question I want to ask you real quick is, how did you grow
up? So I grew up, I'm an only child and my mum was a single parent. She was very young. So I grew up in NZ until I was about 8. So I did like primary school, preschool there, and then I moved to Australia and I did like my high school and the rest of primary school in Australia. It was very different going from a predominantly like Polynesian and so much culture in NZ to coming here. And it was just a lot of white people and like Asians. And so I stood out like a sore thumb basically in like going to my first primary school. I think there was like 2 or 3 other islanders there, but they were like born in Australia. So it's very new to me.
Okay. And then when you moved, and then when you grew up in Australia, you've been there your whole life. Have you ever gone back?
Yeah. So when Mum and I moved to Australia, we pretty much went back every single year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went back to NZ and would always visit and we'd be there for like 2-3 weeks. And then you'd come back. But it was easy to see the difference when I'd go back to NZ and they'd be like, oh, you sound so Australian now. But to everyone in Australia, I still had a like thick Kiwi accent, but I'd go back to, NZ and they'd be like, no, you're Australian. You sound Australian. Yeah. You've been in Australia now.
Just for everybody that's watching, where's NZ at? I just want to make sure, because some people don't know what that is.
Oh, so NZ's New Zealand. So it's just like brother sister country across the ditch.
Is that NZ is like a
abbreviation?
Abbreviation. Yeah. Oh, that's the first time NZ. Okay, so that's New Zealand.
Yeah, it's New Zealand.
Oh, okay. And then your mom is the Niuean side or Tongan side?
My mom's the Niuean side. So I grew up on my Niuean side, but I didn't grow up like very culturally.
Gotcha,
so like I knew of my culture, but I didn't grow up like speaking any Niuean. I didn't grow up like going to like church or anything like that. It was just me and my mom. So my mom was a single mom, but she did a lot for us. So I'm very grateful for her.
Nice. I'm very interested to hear your childhood because I always feel like that our childhood has a very big impact of like who we become later on in life. And I'm interested to hear your experience growing up as a child, especially you said you didn't really grow up culturally. All right. So can you talk? And I'm sure you have friends and you grew up with friends that are Polynesian. So you've seen like the culture, Polynesian culture, and then you've seen the other side, which is like you said, where you grew up, it wasn't really culture. It was like more Australian. Australian.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so like growing up, like obviously, like my mum speaks Niuean and she'd speak to like my auntie in Niuean, but like I would never understand that because growing up it was just English. And then coming to Australia, there was that handful of like islanders that I became friends with like in high school. And so I was friends with like Tongans and they grew up culturally. So to see them like, you know, they would go to church every weekend and they knew how to speak Tongan and they knew how to, you know, do all the dances and wear all the clothes. Like that was like, it was very foreign to me. And like, it's like, not that it's a bad thing, like on my half, but it was just very different to what I grew up with. Like there was no, you know, I'd see it like when I'd go to 21st and like all my older cousins that do dances and stuff, but I didn't know that. But I feel like if I was to grow up in NZ, I probably would have been more connected with that because in high school they do stuff like Polyfest where they do performances in different cultures. But over here in Australia, there was like nothing like that. So it was just school and sports and homework and all of that for me.
But when you grew up as a kid, looking back, like, were you like, did you ever feel like you like part of you was missing because you didn't really know, or you didn't spend a lot of time with your culture, or like you already were cool about it? Because I know sometimes I talk to a lot of people that grew up similar to you. They always talk about like the experience of trying to figure out their identity of who they are. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I would say no, and that's because when I was young, I didn't even really get a taste of what it was. So I didn't feel like I was missing anything. But like now that I'm older, I understand what I've missed and that I don't know how to speak the language and I don't understand the culture, but that's like, I'm okay with it. And I would love to learn it one day, like to speak and to like learn all the dances and to understand, you know, why we came to who we are and where we came from. But at the same time, I'm content with how I was brought up because I don't believe that not being brought up culturally was a bad thing.
And also just because you not bringing up culture does not make you less Polynesian, because like, you know, it's in your blood. You know, that's all I always say.
I still eat the food. I still know little bits and pieces. I still know how to make the food. But
I know. That's one thing I would say to everybody that's watching right now, you know, because I know that's one of the, I do meet a lot of Polynesians that grew up like, you know, that has similar experiences like you, didn't grow up with the culture, and sometimes, you know, they feel like something's missing and they're not Polynesian enough. And I always tell them, look, you're Polynesian is biological. That's always gonna be in you. You're never gonna be you're always gonna be Polynesian, you know, just so however you grew up, but we all grew up in a different way. Did you ever feel like sometimes going to like family, I'm interested to hear like, you know, people, because you didn't speak the language or know the culture, that people saw you in a different light within the own Polynesian community? Did you ever experience that?
I feel like no, because I grew up away from so when I moved to Australia, we didn't move to a place that was full of islanders. We moved to a place where there were like a lot of cultural people. So our next door neighbors were like people from like Bolivia, people from Spain, people from Asia, India, like, you know. So to me, like all the kids that we grew up with, like that I grew up with in that area, none of us knew a lot of our background, but they were more connected to their background than I was. And it didn't bother me because I enjoyed seeing, you know, their background, like their foods and their dances and, you know, hearing their parents speak. It was new to me, but I like loved hearing it. But when I knew I was being spoken to, like in Niuean, I was in trouble. But I didn't understand it, but I was in trouble.
No, I'm talking about like whenever you went into like to your Polynesian community, and then
being looked at in a different light.
Within your own Polynesian community because you didn't speak the language or you don't.
No, I say no because like I didn't care what they thought when I was younger, and my mum taught me that. She was like, doesn't matter what they think, it always matters what, you know, I think and what you think. And I was just like, well, if they're gonna talk to me and I don't understand, then I didn't understand. Like it wasn't something that I tried to take to heart at a young age.
Okay. I want to ask you, you know, just what was like did you have any experiences growing up as a child that you felt like had a big impact to who you are today? Because I always feel like there's moments in our life as a child, we kind of we got to develop our personality, develop our way of thinking, our character. So anything stands out to you?
Yeah, so like I said, like I grew up with just my mum, so not having like a dad or a father figure. Oh, I wouldn't say a father figure because there was like a lot of like uncles and cousins that like played that father figure role for me. But like
Yeah.
growing up without like a dad in general was probably actually like it was hard. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, like it was hard.
Yeah.
Like I always say, oh yeah, it was like but like knowing that he was there somewhere, but not with me, it was
Yeah.
just like yeah. So that was a lot, and I guess I never really thought about it a lot until I like grew up, like outside of childhood, because that's when it hits you most. Like people ask questions like, why don't you have a dad, like where are they, etc., etc. But I remember seeing him before I moved to Australia, and it was like, oh my gosh, like I get to see him.
Yeah.
But then it was only for like 5 minutes.
And how
And
was
so
it? How was that experience meeting your dad for the first time? Yeah.
so he had, when I was born, he was there, and then he wasn't as I grew up as a kid, and then he came back. And I
Yeah.
don't remember how like that situation happened because I guess I was too young to. But I remember when I first saw him, like to me, he was a stranger. So I didn't know who he was. And like that frightened me. And like, I don't think any parent would want their child to be frightened of them. But like, I didn't know any better. So, my mom would always talk about him to me like very briefly, very vaguely, like it wasn't a conversation that we'd always have. And it didn't bother me because as long as I had my mom, like, I was sweet. My mom played mom and dad. But then like moving to Australia, like a lot of people had dads, and like that's not a bad thing. But it was very different because like we'd have like Father's Day in primary school, where fathers got to come and eat, and fathers got to come and do like the little workshop stuff, and it was just like, okay, well I get to miss out because I don't have a dad, so I'm gonna just go sit on the slide or sit on the swings and
Yeah.
just hang out by myself.
Yeah.
But I guess coming into like teen years is where it like hit harder because everyone brings up like the whole like daddy issues thing, and I was like, I
Yeah.
don't think I have like daddy issues, but it's like I understand where you're coming from because I don't try and search for what I missed out when I was younger and like a guy now. Like I just don't understand what I missed when I was younger.
Yeah.
And like he came back into my life now, and my mum and him got married. Like my mum and my dad got married a couple of years ago, but I still don't have like that connection. And I just don't, I think it's because I'm not ready to. Like to me, yeah. I'm just not ready to because I didn't understand what I missed when I was younger. I don't get why like it happened. And that's questions that I can obviously ask, and that's easy to be answered, but it's just like taking that step to do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it just opens a whole like door and like flood full of emotions that I'm not ready for.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then when you saw him for the very first time within that 5 minutes, like what was like running through your mind, and how did that go?
Well, not gonna, he gave me money, so I was happy. I remember that. Like, but it was like a very, like to me it was very glossy. Like
Yeah.
so it was like
What age?
when you
What
get
age?
like,
Wait, what age were you, by the way, when you met him?
I was 8 when
8 years
when
old.
I
Oh.
saw when I saw him before I moved to Australia. So I think it was like a couple of days before we moved, and it was just after my birthday. I didn't even know if he remembered my birthday or anything, but
Yeah.
like he gave me money, and to me I was like, oh my gosh, yes, money. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm gonna do with the money, like because I'm 8, but like yeah, money. And my mom and my dad were having a conversation, and I was just there, like, but I wasn't paying attention, and I was just
Yeah.
like, thanks, like cool, like yep. And I didn't want things to be like super awkward. Like I know when I was younger there was like places that he would take me before like he left. Like he'd take me to his like barber shop, with his, where he'd go get his hair cut. And I remembered because the place was pink. or he'd take me to this food place, before we went to my granddad's house, and I'd sit on the bench eating food. Like it's very vague things that I remembered, and then I remembered him leaving, and then I remember seeing him, and then I remember moving to Australia. So it's very like back and forth.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you is I just had the question. I just had the question on mine. It totally slipped out. I had that question. No, yeah. So no, yeah. I wanted to ask you. Is like you're older now and you look back. Do you feel like that your dad wasn't there, but do you feel like that experience, did that develop any kind of personality within you to be independent, to be strong?
Oh yeah, like it really did. Like my mom always told me not to rely, not to not rely on anyone, but you're your own supporter, you're your biggest fan. You can only ever rely on yourself to be as good as you want yourself to be.
Yeah.
So I believe I'm very independent. Like I don't like asking for help, but I love if people ask me for help. I will help anyone in any way I can, but I am that stubborn person who will not ask anyone for help, because I will struggle to the biggest struggles before I ever ask for help. And I said this is someone at work yesterday, where it's like, to me, I think, and it's stupid to think this, but to me, I think asking for help is embarrassing, like a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because if I can't do it, then I shouldn't have to ask for someone else's help. I should learn how to do something to help myself.
Yeah. Is that are you still the same way now when it comes to asking for help? You don't want to ask for them?
Yeah, I'm still the same way now. So I haven't grown out of asking for help. Like if I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place and I absolutely have to ask for help, I will ask for help. I asked for help last night because I left my bank cards at home and I needed to pay for my parking so I could drive home. And there was no ATM around and I couldn't just tap my phone to pay. And so I was like, maybe I'll just wait for someone I can tailgate. And then I waited for 20 minutes and I had to call for someone to come and get me. So in that 20-minute time space, I could have called someone and they would have been there within that 20 minutes. But I had to wait because I didn't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
But I'm still that way. I feel like I'll probably grow out of it, but for now, I still think asking for help is just a little bit embarrassing for myself.
Yeah. I do realize, I do know, because I'm Polynesian, I grew up a lot of Polynesian. Polynesians, we don't really ask for help a lot. So
yeah,
do you think
asking for help is very foreign.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're we're very confident and prideful people. We want to do things on our own. So sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but that's what I say to you. It's not bad, right?
It's not bad, right? I know it's not bad asking for help, and I say the same thing to everyone, but then I just can't take it myself. I'm like, no, asking for help is just a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I don't mind asking for help, but the thing is, asking for help would be like, I'll try to figure out all available options, and asking for help is always becoming my last option.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be my first option.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be my first options. But I try to do things on my own. If I do realize, okay, I can't do this, I do need help, then I'll go to ask for help, because I do realize sometimes, like you said, it's always good to rely on yourself and do things on your own, and so that way you can learn. I feel like that's the way you only can learn, is by doing things on your own.
Yeah,
and then if you have to ask for help, then
I will ask for help. But if I exhaust every other option and I can't, then I will have to ask for help. And I do it lightheartedly, so it doesn't look like I really need help. I'll laugh about it. And I'm like, so can you help me? Yeah.
Okay.
It's never something like, oh, I need your help. It's always like, okay. Ha ha ha.
So so that was your childhood. I'm interested to hear, going into not a teenager, but going into an adult. How was it for you? Going to real life. When you become an adult, and then now you're introduced to real life. I'm just interested to hear your experience going into real life, and then getting a job, meeting people. Now you're dating people. Just now. So, because I always feel like Polynesians, we have a very unique upbringing. But I do want to ask before we move into that going into adulthood, how was your mom? Was she very traditional with you? When it came to the way she raised you?
No.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so no, my mum was not traditional whatsoever. Like my mum, to all my friends, and I guess like to me now, when I was younger, it's definitely not the case, but to all my friends, my mum was like the cool mum. She let my friends like come over and have a drink, and my mum didn't care if they smoked or anything. But I guess that's because my mum's a young mum. So I'm 23 and my mum's 41, 42.
How old does she have you? That's I'm not good at math. I'm sorry.
So I think she was pregnant at 17, had me at 18.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
think that's the right math. Yeah.
So she was like more like one of a big sister or something like that.
Yeah. So my mum and everyone was like, your mum and you look the same. It was like, oh my gosh, this is your sister. And I'd be like, oh, no, this is my mum. Like, can you not? But like, I think that was like, because I was like young and like a teen, I was like, no, like, this is my mum. My mum is not cool. My mum is, and then I remember my mum asked me once, would you rather me be a granny mum? And I was like, yes. And she was so offended. But like, no, my mum, she never, like, there was nothing traditional. For what I think. My mum was very, like, do good in school, get good grades, and you work hard to get rewarded. Everyone thought because I was an only child that my mum would like spoil me. No, little did they know, it was like, no, my mum's like, you have to work hard for everything that you want, and you need to earn stuff. And my mum, like, even like, I think like my cousins can agree, my mum was like the hard mum, like the hard parent. Like people were like scared of her or scared to get in trouble from her, and like including myself. I there was this one time when I was younger, I rode my bike into the balcony and I smashed the window, and I could just feel my mum's anger from inside the house before I even saw her. And I was just like, and then everyone was like, why didn't you turn? I was like, well, I panicked. And I just kept staying on the bike while I cried before I even hit the glass, because I knew I was going to get in trouble. But yeah, I think my mum did a great job raising me though. Like, I think she thinks she did a great job raising me. But yeah, nothing about being raised was traditional. Like apart from I'm pretty sure every Polynesian, make sure you clean the house every Saturday, Sunday, make sure your room's clean before you leave the house. You can't go anywhere like out with friends unless, you've done something to earn going out. So, clean the house before you go out with your friends. And it was always like pickups and drop-offs. Like my mom, I always asked if I could get a job when I was like in high school and I was younger. And she said no. She's like, if you ever need anything, I will help you in any way I can, but I want you to focus on school. And that was her main thing. She wanted me to focus on school and do my best before I go out into like the real world.
Yeah.
Which I was grateful for. Like I saw everyone else like working when they were young, getting money. I was like, oh, I want that. But she was like, no, you don't want that yet. You need to do this first. And I was like, well, all right, like I'll listen to you. Like I got to trust in what she says, and which I do.
Yeah.
And I, which I did, and I still do. But yeah, she was the cool mom to all my friends, and she's the cool mom to me now. Now that I think about it, like back then, she definitely was the cool mom. She's a cool mom now.
Just a shout out to your mom. She's watching this. Shout out to your mom.
She's gonna be like taking notes, and then she's like, "So you said this about me? And you said this about me?" So I got to compensate and say all the amazing stuff I can about her.
So okay, we make sure we see more good things at the end of the podcast. Just clear it up, even balance it out. All right. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You had a cool mom, you had a young mom, but that's kind of cool. She kind of lets you just be yourself and be expressive and do your own thing. That's kind of cool. Do you have friends? I mean, do you have Polynesian friends that you talk to that their parents are very strict and very traditional?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
No, but like I had, no. Now that
Hey.
I'm trying to think about, no, none of them were, because I feel like being in Australia, it not changes everything, but like it changes some traditional aspects to how you're brought up.
Yeah.
Like being around, you know, being around different environments.
Mhm.
So they're not gonna, like, everyone tries to adjust to how everyone else is. And, if you have a teenage kid saying, oh, but everyone's going here and this is what's happening. And, you give them like oh, can I go here at this time with these people? And this is what they're doing. Da, 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 da. Like, I think they get more used to the idea of you being around that modern day time. And as long as you're still doing like your chores or you're going to church on the weekend, if, I had Polynesian friends that did go to church on the weekend, as long as you're still doing all, like, I'd say like the main stuff. I don't know what main is, but like as long as they were doing like the main stuff to them, like in their family and what their culture, like how they were culturally brought up, then they were good to do anything else.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to ask you, since we're in the topic of culture and traditions, and I want to ask you, what's just either from your own personal experience or what you see from Polynesians in Australia. I'm just really interested to hear the different experiences we all go through as Polynesians in different parts of the world. I want to ask you, what do you feel like is just from what you see out there in Australia regarding in the Polynesian community? What's like the hardest thing as the Polynesians struggle with growing up as Polynesians out there, within our generation? Just based on what you see, what you hear. I'm just interested to hear. Yeah.
Like, I think it's just like the language and the understanding. Like, so I'm pretty sure every Polynesian, no matter how old, how young they are, everyone knows like, the swear words. Everyone knows like, the little, funny remarks, and that's all they know. And, like they'll know like little bits and pieces, but it's what a lot of like Polynesians, like even myself, will teach their friends that don't know how to speak, or they're like whitewashed friends, or their friends from other cultures. That's what they teach them. So that's what a lot of people know. And like, even so, like with like all these, I wouldn't say like gangs, but like, I guess you could say gangs.
Yeah.
That, you see on TV, like how like some Polynesians are portrayed, like there'll be like a massive fight on the news and it's like Polynesians versus a different culture, or freaking Samoans versus, sorry, I didn't know if I was allowed to swear, so I had to it'd still be like Samoans versus Tongans, or they're fighting over something and it's on the news, and that's broadcasted throughout Australia. And I guess that's how people are going to start viewing Polynesians as these big bad people that fight all the time, or these people that can like have fights with other cultures. And but we're obviously so much more than that, but that's what people see. And I guess that's the hard part, is breaking out of a stereotype. Like you meet a Polynesian and you're like, oh yeah, they're really big, they can fight, or all the stereotype is, they can play sports, they can sing, they can play an instrument, they can dance. But having the stereotype of, oh, they'll fight anyone or they can beat someone up, that's like, well, no. It's like when people, and it annoys the hell out of me when people say this, when people are very racial, and then they talk about Muslims and call them terrorists, which they're not. A little group of people inside a race or inside of a religion does not define the whole of
the whole religion, the whole race of people.
And that's the frustrating thing, is trying to not make up for, but like trying to, I guess it is make up for, but trying to make up for all the bad things that get said about your culture as a whole. You try and compensate by doing the good so that you can change other people's perspectives on the outside. But obviously you can't always change those that are stubborn, those that believe what they see and not what they hear. You see people fighting, but you don't hear what what they're doing. But that, I reckon that's a hard thing, is changing perspectives of those who think badly of us because of
Yeah.
what they see.
I know you mentioned understanding too. What did you do? What did you mean by understanding?
Um, Even I don't know what I meant by understand. I guess like you don't really know. I mean, yes, they're fighting and they're all of that, but people are just going to pull out their phones and their cameras and record, but they don't understand, what's going on. They could be, we sometimes, yes, we do make a spectacle of ourselves, and make everything like big, and we can make stuff big and dramatic. And that's like I don't mean that in a bad way, to
Yeah.
anyone who's like had, a fight that's been broadcasted, but do like, how can we get others to understand why, when sometimes we don't even understand why we're fighting? You fight because someone hit on your girlfriend, someone, fought with your cousin, someone, anything like that. And it's good to defend yourself and to defend your family and everything like that. But I don't think we understand how we're putting ourselves out there. Like, we're giving ourselves a bad name. And that's why people think we have a bad name, because that's what they see. So there's like no understanding between any of that from what I see.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like the difference between a closed mind and an open mind, is like people will be like, no, they need to know why we're fighting. And other people are like, no, like, what is the reason why we're fighting?
Yeah.
I think I'm digging myself a hole. I think someone's going to come for me.
No.
I'm going to hide all my details.
There's no holes here. There is no such thing as a hole on this podcast. Actually, that's the purpose of this podcast, is so we can dig hiding. That's the purpose of this podcast. We can dig deep. We can dig deep and talk about these things freely. Now, I want to ask you. I know you talked about like the stereotypical judgment. Like, have you gone through that? Like, do you have any experiences that where people automatically thought you were a certain person because of of the stereotypes that's known within the community?
Oh yeah, like in high school, I was, because obviously like I'm a big girl, so in high school I was a big girl, and it was just like I had this friend was like who would always like use me as a bargaining chip, like, oh yeah, she'll come and she'll tackle you, oh yeah, she'll come and I'd be like, because I would like feed into it. I'm like, yeah, I'll come and I'll tackle you, I'll hit you, I'll do it. But I was just like, what the hell was going through my head back then? Like, girl, you're giving yourself a bad name.
Yeah.
And then I remember when my cousin, so I live with my auntie, uncle, and cousins. I remember when their eldest daughter, she started high school, and it wasn't at the same high school I was at. She went to a different one. And she was 3 years younger than me. And in her first year, someone asked her, oh, are you Rhiannon's cousin? And she was like, yeah. And then they were like, I don't want to be your friend. And then she came home and she told me, she's like, everyone's scared of you. I was like, why? I don't do anything. Like, I don't. But then I understand when, like, people are like, well, yeah, she's going to come and she'll hit you, or she'll come and she'll, or go and chase him and stuff like that. And I fed into it because I was like, yeah, these are my friends. But I'm not friends with any of those people now.
Oh
yeah,
man,
so I was that girl.
Yeah. That's funny. So so talk about, can we go back, so we can talk about like you transitioning into adulthood, and now you're going into real life now, and how was the experience for you going, being I guess I say a big girl now, because you're going into the real world now and making your own decision as an adult.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I found that super hard. I found that so hard because when I finished school, so we have a thing called HSC in New South Wales. So it's your higher school certificate. Mm-hmm. On the day of my last exam, I finished an hour early and I went straight to the airport because I had a flight to catch. I was like, see, I finished school. I'm going. So I went back to New Zealand just for like, I think it was like 10 days. And then I came back to Australia. And then my cousin was like, oh, it's a graduation present. I'll pay for you to come and spend like Christmas and New Year's here. So
it's all good. It's all good.
Sorry. Yeah, and then I spent like, I think it was like a month in New Zealand again. And then when I came back, my mum was like, yep, you need to get a job, you need to help pay rent. And I was just like, oh, I was just living my best life for like the last like 6-7 weeks, not doing anything. And she was like, yep, as soon as you get a job, you're gonna help pay, rent around the house, you need to start buying groceries, help cook dinner, da, 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 da. And it wasn't nothing that I was new to, like helping around the house, but I had never gotten a job before. So I didn't even know how to look for a job. I didn't know how to write a resume at this point. And so it was very foreign because I had to I was just Googling like resume templates and, trying to, fill in the criteria, but I had no experience. So, I could put in all my high school stuff, but it wasn't enough to, get a job. I think it took me like 3.5 months to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took me 3.5 months to find a job. And I believe I only had gotten that job because it was a new place that was just opening and they needed workers. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. A job's a job at this point. And every job that I've worked at so far, I always try and be the best at. I will always try to be better than someone else, but not make it known that I'm trying to be better than all the other people. I'll just be like, yep, okay, I need to do this to be better than them. I need to do this. But I won't make it public knowledge that, yeah, okay, so I'm trying to be better than you. But yeah, and so going back to getting into my first job and getting my first paycheck, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I have my own money. And then my mom was like, don't forget, you got to pay for this and you got to pay for this. And I was like,
yeah.
And then after I'd paid for that stuff, I looked at my the rest of that I had, I was like, okay, next paycheck. Next paycheck. And I felt like I was saying next paycheck for a while. And then there would be times where I'd enjoy my paycheck and then I'd be like, oh, I got no money left. So I think it was learning how to, to balance did I really need to buy a new pair of shoes? No, probably not. But did I like them? Yes. But my bank account said no, but I still said yes. So it was, yeah. And then just trying to work with, different people as well. So I like to think I'm not very social, but once I get to know people, I am social as hell. I will go anywhere with you. If you message me at 7:00 at night, hey, want to go for a drink, want to go get food, yeah, I'm down. Even if my bank account says no, I am down. I will come. I enjoy the going out and spending time with people, and then there's times where I'll be like, oh, I'm too tired, and that's just because I've winded down for the night, and I'm just like, do I really want to get back up? Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was just getting to know all these different people and where they come from, because all I had known is the people I went to school with, and their friends, and then that was it, because I'd never branched out outside of school, meeting all these new people. It was super different. So I was working with people, I was 17 working with people in their 20s, their late 20s, their early 20s, people younger than me, people still in school. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many people in the world. But I've only known the people that I've gone to school with, and that's all I knew. So it was just getting used to older people that weren't my mom, telling me what to do. Because I was like, you can't tell me to do this. And I was like, no, you can actually tell me to do this because you're my boss and you pay me. Yeah, and it was just getting used to that, because I'm someone who doesn't like listening to people, because I like being, in charge of myself.
Yeah.
So to have to, yep, you go take out the bins. Okay, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm like, you can ask me, and I can say yes, because I will have to, because it's my job. But it was just being bossed around. I hated it so much. I think I only stayed at that job for a year. And then I left. I think every job I've had, I stayed at for a year. Okay, I lied. That job I went I worked at for a year, and then I was getting like, I couldn't stand it. And then my mum was like, oh, well, you can come and work for me. And so I went and worked with my mum for, I think it was like 2 years or maybe 2.5. And then I left that job. And then the next job I was at for a year. And so I was like, I didn't really have any like work experience, because every job I'm working at, I choose to leave because I don't like after a year. And then now my current job I've been at for 3 years, and I love it.
Yeah. What's the difference
And so,
between the job you have right now that you love compared to other job? Just the culture or the management or something?
yeah, I would say, yeah, it's the coach. So it's my first retail job. And I always I always look at like retail workers when I wasn't in retail, like what do you do? Like, but retail is actually really hard, because you have to keep up a front for your customers. You know, I could be having a bad day, but I can't show it to them. You know, I'd look so unprofessional. But yeah, I think like the culture of this job and like the management and the people that I'm around, it's more like a family.
Yeah.
Like, so when I started at this job, it was brand new, and the people that opened with this job are still here now. So we're all here 3 years later, with I think like 4 or 5 new people that have come in. But it's very like homely. Like, it's my second home, it's my second family. They're people that I've come to like trust, with my life. Like, I can trust them with my bank account. Like, I can give them my bank card, and they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy me this, and do you want anything? And I was like, yeah, just get me this. And they'll be like,
Yeah.
okay. And they'll give me the money back, at their own expense when they're ready. But like, I can trust them, to do stuff like that. And I don't think there's very many people you can trust in the world, when it comes to like money, or it comes to your life, or it comes to like, I could be having like a mental breakdown at work and not try and show it, but someone will see it and they'll be like, come on. And I'm like, fine. Like the other day at work, I have really bad asthma. Not that everyone needs to know that, but I was having an asthma attack at work, and I left my inhaler in my car. And I know what to do. Like, you obviously don't panic, don't run, don't try and do anything that'll, make it worse. So I had asked like 3 or 4 people, and they all said no. And then I went and asked one of the girls, who usually she does, but it's very rare that she doesn't. And I asked her, and she just looked at me and she's like, no, go and buy one. I'm very lucky that there's a chemist, like a pharmacy across the road, that I can get one. And then no one knew that I had left the store, because I had to go get it myself. But when I came back, there was like, one of the boys who had run downstairs to look for me. There was a security guard looking for me. There was 3 other people that were like wondering where I was. And my boss, she was freaking out because, she didn't know if I passed out on the side of the road or anything like that. So it's very, like, I feel very welcome and very like embraced. Like, we're all like very different people, but they embrace it, and they love you for who you are, and we can banter and bicker, about personal stuff and not take it to heart. And I think that's very hard to find this day and age, to find someone you can, make personal jokes with and not take it to heart.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you had a good little work environment with your team.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I can't complain. Pays my bills too. So
I'm interested to hear, come out of high school. Did you have like any specific goals and dreams of yourself, of what your life you wanted your life to be?
I was, oh my gosh, when I finished high school, I was very what's the word? I don't know what the word is. I thought so big of myself. I was like, yep, I'm gonna get a job, and I'm gonna buy a car, and I'm gonna buy a house, and very unrealistic.
Oh, okay.
When I first, and I was like, yes,
well,
I had all these big dreams.
It is realistic, but
it is realistic.
But it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen.
No,
overnight. Yeah.
But for someone who had never had a job before and didn't understand how much I'd get paid or anything like that, I was like, yep, I'm gonna build my own house. I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna, move to a different country. Like I had all these like hopes and aspirations, and it took, I think, like maybe a year, and I was like, yeah, no, none of that's gonna happen. None of that's gonna happen like I thought I would. Like I still live at home. Like I have a car. I can say I ticked that off. I'm in the process of trying to move out. That's yeah, I can tick that off. But I had these like hopes and dreams like 7 years ago. And I'm only getting to it now. So it was very not shocking, but it was very like a slap in the face. Like, hello, this is reality, and this is how it works. And you're not gonna go any like. I was like, bro, nothing's gonna happen if I don't save my money. Like, money is everything in this world. Like, you can't do anything without it. So it was very tough. Like realizing, like, oh, you're very naive to think that you're gonna get all those things like as soon as you moved out, as soon as you finish school. But yeah, like I remember my mom telling me, hard work will get you everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was, as long as I will live at home as long as I need to, if I need to make the money to build my own house and then, help support everyone else. Like I will do that if I have to. And my mom will do that for me too. She's like, she'll help me in any way she can possible if I need the help. If I was to ask her for help. But yeah, like now I realize like real life is hard. Like,
yep.
I'd love to go back. Like, not that I enjoyed school, I hated school, but if I could go back to, having everything laid out for me, I knew what I was doing on what day, at what time, that was just simple and easy. Now it's just like, okay, so you're working this day. What are you doing on your day off to like help yourself?
Yeah.
What are you going to do, next week? It's like planning everything yourself. Nothing is planned out for me now. So it's just adjusting to schedules, and even like trying to like hang out with friends. Like everyone's schedule's different. Like no one's free on any same day. So trying to have, like a fun day was hard, Like my best friends, like 3 of us work in retail and one's a nurse. And she works, the nurse, she works crazy hours. And then every day that she's free, we're already at work.
Yeah.
So finding time, to spend, with your friends or to have like a fun day, that's hard. So it's like, okay, well, I got to find and have a fun day by myself now. Got to do what I can, got to do what I can. But yeah.
So you're just ready to move out? You're ready to move out?
Well, I'd like to think I am. And then I feel like I'll get my first like rent, my first week of rent. I'm going to be like, oh, great. Yeah. But I feel like I'm not going to know unless I do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hands-on experience. Like I can't imagine like, okay, so this is what it would be like. I actually have to do it. Buying a car was hard enough. That took me 5 years.
Yeah.
To try and find a car that I liked and learn to drive at the same time. That took a while.
Yeah. So I guess we can. Yeah, when you move out for the first time, it is. The one thing I can say, it's that peace that you just your own home. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good when you have just you can do whatever you want to do.
One day I'll get there.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing a lot of your childhood growing up. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing about your job and your career.
Yes.
Different experiences. Can you talk about how was relationships and dating, having a social life? How was that for you?
Not bad, but not great.
Yeah.
Like and I say this to like a lot of people, I hate talking to people. I hate it because I just hate it. Like it's the same questions over and over again. Like, where are you from? What do you do? How are you? What, there's nothing really, like, to me, there's nothing really great about dating. And I sound like such like sad sack saying that, but like, what, you know how everyone's like, oh yeah, like he slid into my DMs, or oh, I met him on the dance floor, and I was just like, yeah, that's for some people, that's not really for me. It's not. Like, I remember when I was younger, my mom was like, and it was a joke, but I was like, what? She goes, if you're not gonna bring home someone that looks like Sunny Bill, don't bring him home at all. And I was like, what? What? I was like, but Sunny Bill's so good looking. Where do you find that? And then when I got older and I told her, she's like, it was a joke. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't think I'll be bringing anyone home. Like, for me, and I've discussed this, like, so you know how you always have that one cousin and that is your person.
Yeah.
So yeah, she is my person. And we talk about this all the time, because I'm an only child, and I'm the only only child in my family. To me, I think it would be very hard for me to bring someone into my family without my family being super protective over me, whether it's like an auntie, an uncle, a cousin. Because when I was growing up, you know, my family would take me places, like they'd be like, oh, we'll look after her, oh, we'll take her here, we'll take her there, da, da, da. So they were very like loving and caring and protective of me. And so I know for a fact they're going to be the same with any guy I bring home.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom's going to listen to this and she's going to be like, yeah. Like, there'd be a guy that I would talk to, and I'm just like, no, my family are very, like, you have to have thick skin to be around my family. My family are not like, you know, some lighthearted. They will, you know, have a laugh with you, and then you'll leave, and then they'll have their opinion, and I'll be listening to their opinion, and I'm like, oh, great. Like, and, you know, our family, like, I'm pretty sure every family does it. Like, everyone that comes into the family or that's married to the family, you know, everyone has an opinion on them. And I know everyone's going to have an opinion no matter who I bring into the family. I just don't want to bring someone into my family that doesn't have thick skin, that's not tough. Because I need you to understand that they're going to mock the hell out of you, and it's not going to be easy. But I was just like, yeah, like, the more I think about like bringing someone to my family, the more I'm just like, oh no, it's all right. I'll be the cool auntie or the cool cousin who comes home from a trip somewhere and, you know, with her sunglasses on, hey, how's everyone doing? But even in high school, like, I entertained the idea, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I think that's because I've never really grown up around relationships. Like, I've grown up around my auntie and uncle who are married, but I was never around to see a lot of them, you know, from a starting point, like a young point. Like, so to me, it was just like, why are you talking to me? What is this? Like,
did a couple guys approach you in high school?
Like, that messaged me, and I'm like, but you won't talk to me in person. Like, what's with that?
Oh, they wouldn't talk to you in person?
Yeah, you'll see me, like, you'll see me on the bus, or you'll see me like at the mall. Like, you don't want to talk to me in person, but you can message me and be like, oh, hey, was that you at the it was me, I don't understand why. Or like, hey, I saw you today at blah blah blah. And I'm just like, like, if you don't have the guts to talk to me in person, like, why talk to me at all? I'm very tough. I'm very tough.
Yeah.
I remember, like, the first guy that I actually like showed interest in, like, back to him, like, we got along like a house on fire. And
in high school, this is high school?
This was just after high school.
Okay, after high school. Okay.
This was, so we knew each other during high school, but, like, you know, it was just, you know, friends. And then after high school, it was like we actually really got to know each other. And I was just like, oh yeah, like, wow, like, this is what it feels like. And you know, all of that. And then I remember we went out to lunch one day, and then my cousin came with me, and then they got along like a house on fire. And I was like, oh no.
Wait, don't tell me they connected.
No, like, but I could just see it. Like, he was getting along with my family, and I was like, no.
Okay.
No, and I was self-sabotaging myself. I was like, great, they're getting along. This isn't gonna work. And I was just like, but you know, it was just self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And I was just like, great, now what? And then, you know, after lunch, she was like, oh my gosh, he's so nice. He's da da da. And I was like, yep, I bet he's really nice. Like, no, you guys getting along? And then I was just like, I can see it now. And then I remember there was this one time, like, him and I were hanging out and someone saw us. Like, you know, someone, one of my friends saw us, and I was just like, oh, great. Like, so, because anyone I've ever spoken to or like, I wouldn't say dated or like, you know, had interest in or anything that's hanging out, I have not told anyone in my family or my friends, like at all. Only that one cousin, that one. And she's the cousin who came, like, you know, because I don't know, just telling people makes it, you know, other people's business and makes it real. So to me, like, if I can keep it to myself, and if something bad happens, then it's just to me. You know, it's not it's not to my whole family, or it's not to my mom. You know, I don't want my mom to ask me like, oh, so how's such and such going? And I'm like, oh yes, so what had happened was like this. I mean, I'm old enough now to be like, you know, this, but still, I'm like, like, no.
Yeah, you just
I've never.
You didn't want to add that extra drama and pressure or whatever from family. Just leave your relationship alone. Okay.
Yeah. Any boy that I have introduced to my mom has just been a best friend, like, or like friends from school, friends from work, and everything. But I feel like introducing someone to my family is a lot for me because it's just me, and so they're just like, "Yep, well," and I'm just like, "Oh, great." Like, it's a lot of pressure for me. Like, there's another person in our family who's an only child as well, but he's a boy. And he has girlfriends like left, right, and center.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think I could do that. That's just a lot that's just a lot for me.
Well,
that's a lot to keep up with.
But it's also a double standard, you know, when it comes to women and men
girls
having multiple partners.
Yeah, that's just a lot for me. I don't think I could be with someone and then we broke up and then be with someone like 5 months down the line. Because I can just hear hey, what happened to such and such? Or like, oh, who's this? I thought you were dating this person. And, you know, that's just a lot of drama that I don't want. And so I always said to my mom, you will meet my person when we get engaged. I wouldn't do that to her, but I was like, you're just going to invite to the wedding or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot to, but I also hate investing my time into anything and it getting nowhere.
Oh, I got you.
Like, I'd hate to, like, because I've done that before. Like, I've invested my time into people and getting to know them and them getting to know me, and then them being like, oh my gosh, you know, it goes good, and then they're just like, okay, see ya. And I got nowhere. I got nothing out of it.
Like dating, like people dating without no purpose. It's just, you know.
Yeah. Like, but what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
like I don't, you know, like I don't have anything, like I don't use like dating sites or anything like that, but like I have friends that, you know, like are on Tinder or on Bumble, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. It's just not for me. One, I don't know how to use that stuff. Two, I believe in catfish. It's just
those sites, you know, I mean, those sites is not bad. You know, I've tried some dating apps. It's you know, it's for me. It's just like the thing is about the dating. The only positive I see about dating apps is you have more information. You know, information on the person, and you kind of get to see what their interests are. But then again, people can just write whatever they want to write on their profile. But it really depends. But it depends on the app, because on Bumble, I see that's like it's a really respectful dating app. Like a lot of people go there seeking for the purpose of finding someone. Of what I see.
Yes, and the whole stereotype, like not stereotype, like it's stereotypical for like Tinder. Like people like think, oh yeah, they just want to find someone, you know, to just have a good night with. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, thank you, done deed. You know, and then unmatch. And like I know people that have done that, or that do that for, solely for that purpose. And I'm just like, how? Like, I don't, but like that's not to my understanding. That's like to theirs. So I don't think I could. Or like I have friends, that are in relationships that, still seek everywhere else. And I'm like, but how? Like it's not my relationship, and I, you're my friend, and I would, I'm not going to go running to your partner, but I will tell you how I feel, and I will tell you my opinion, and I will tell you you're a piece of ass for doing what you do. And I will call you every name under the sun, but it's not my relationship. It's yours. You got to, do it however you want to. And if that person's naive to, stay with you, and, but I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something well for you, but not for them.
So whatever happened to the guy that you met, you guys clicked after high school?
Yeah, he's doing great with his life. We don't talk anymore. I wouldn't say fell off, but we fell off.
Yeah.
It was just very, it ended up being, I guess, kind of toxic.
Yeah.
And it was just like
how toxic? What do you mean by toxic?
It was, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like we would talk, and then we could not talk for like days, and then it would like start a fight, and then like just conversations would go from like full conversations to like abbreviated conversations, and then it was like we were never together, but it was just like, why are you getting jealous if we're not together?
Oh, okay, I got you. Got you.
And there was no like, and then I remember like we had like a fight once, and then my friend, oh my gosh, this is so like, my friend had like hit him up. She was like, I don't understand what's going on, like why? And then he turned around to her and he was like, well, I never told her to, get feelings for me or have feelings for me or fall in love with me, some shit along those lines.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're a real piece of work, you know what? I hate you. but I didn't hate him.
Yeah.
I hated that he said that. And I was like, I hate you. And all of that. And like we had a fight, and then he was trying to say sorry. And I was like, no, like you can't say something like that and it not have some kind of truth behind it, because like, what do you feel then? And he was like, yeah, well, I'm sorry. And then I was like, you know what? Stuff you.
Yeah.
And I cried for like 2 days. but no one knows I cried for 2 days. And now my mom's gonna know I cried for 2 days, and she's gonna ask me who this person is. I'm like, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. Yeah, I remember. And then like I remember he unfriended me off Facebook, and then I was like, you know what? I'm unfollow you off Instagram, and then I blocked him on Snapchat, and I was like, don't talk to me. But my Instagram's on public anyways. And then I had really like turned myself around, and I was working on myself, and I was in a happy place. And when you're in a happy place, it stops, it has to stop somewhere. And so I had made this post on my Instagram, about me being happy and moving on and everything. And then he sent that post to me, and he says, I'm sorry. And I was not having it. I saw it and I screenshot it and I sent it to my cousin, and I was like, who does he think he is sending me I'm sorry like 6 months later? And then my reply was like, sorry for what? Like instead of me like having my massive opinion, I was like, sorry for what? And he was like, never mind. But he didn't say never mind. He said NVM, the abbreviation.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I was just like, look. And then, I was that person who decided to reply with a paragraph. And I said something along the lines like, look, I don't know why you're sorry for, because I was like, I forgave you a long time ago, and it wasn't for you, it was for me. And then he was like, oh, I never wanted to make you feel like that. And then he tried to start a conversation, like, oh, so what's going on? I was like, and I just didn't reply. I was like, no, leave me alone. Because even though like I've grown out of it, like I don't want that like little bit of hope in me to like run back, and let myself, be that stupid person. And then so we refollowed each other on Instagram. Oh my gosh, this sounds like so stupid. We refollowed each other on Instagram, and it was just like, okay, maybe we can be friends. And so it was like, we'd never message each other, but he'd reply to stories, I'd reply to stories. He'd say happy birthday, I'd say happy birthday. He'd say like Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'd do the same thing. And then I remember there was this one Christmas, I think it was like 2 years after everything happened, or maybe a year. He like sent me like this long paragraph, and I was just like, oh great, I'm not ready to read this. And then I read it, like, and it was just like, I want to thank you for everything you did for me. Like, I appreciate you. I need you to know that, like, if anything, does, come around or does happen, like, you need help, like, I'm always there for you, da 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 da. And I read it, and I didn't feel any type of way. And I was like, yes, I'm winning.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I'm winning. And he, said this, and it was a really nice message. And like, it was very heartfelt, and I felt that, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with him again. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm coming, like, just wait for me. Like, it was none of that. And then every year I remembered his, birthday, and I always said happy birthday message. And then this year I forgot his birthday. Like this year, I forgot his birthday, and I didn't even know it was his birthday until I saw one of his friends like posted an Instagram story saying happy birthday. And I was like, oh, it's his birthday. Oh, and I didn't like message happy birthday.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, I'm at that point where like, meh, I don't need to. But like, I see him growing out of him, like his boy phase from when like, we were like talking and all of that, and connecting. Like, he's grown out of it. Like, he's so much more mature, so much more grown, and like he has stuff going for himself now. And I can like say from the sidelines, like, yeah, he's doing really well for himself. Like, but I'm not gonna like go out of my way and message him and be like, hey, I can see you're doing really well, and da da da. Like, because that just pulls someone back, 5 steps after they've made like 100 steps.
Yeah.
And so I can like say like, yeah, I can cheer him on from the sidelines, and that is a guy I can say I'm friends with, but like I won't, like, there's no feeling or anything behind it. And that took a while. That took so long. And then and because I have that cousin I talked to, I told her, so this guy, I might as well have a little bit of girl talk while I'm here. So this guy came into work and he asked for my number, and I said no.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, oh, like, he was so shocked that I said no. And I was just like, oh, like, I don't give my number out. That's real personal. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. Because so I work in retail. He had stayed in the store for almost a whole hour, and everyone asked him for help. But I was running around doing like all this stuff, for other things. But he would follow me around like whatever section I was at the store. And then I stopped for 2 minutes to talk to someone. And then he came and he asked me for help. So I helped him, and then he asked for my number. I was like, no. And then he was like, oh, and I was like, here, I'll give you my Instagram. And because, a number's too personal to me, so you can take my Instagram. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll take your Instagram. And then we're at the counter, and his friend goes, so did you ask her for a number? Like, right in front of me. And I just laughed and I walked away. And then like he messaged me on Instagram, but I didn't want to reply. And it was like nothing to him, but I was just like, I'm not ready to like kind of put myself out there again.
Yeah.
Like, so it was just like, I'd message back, we'd have a laugh, but I didn't want to like give him false hope. Like, I didn't want to, I didn't want what happened to me to happen to him. I didn't want for him to put so much effort into, talking to me and me give him nothing, because I knew I didn't want to give him anything. And as shitty as that sounds, like, it wasn't for him, it was more for me. I was like, yeah, I don't really want to talk to you because I'm not ready to talk to anyone, and I don't want to talk to anyone, and I don't want to give you someone to talk to and then realize, oh, this is going nowhere after talking to someone for however long. Like, it's just a waste of time. And I'd hate to waste someone's time when they could be using that time talking to someone else that will actually give them the time of day. So maybe I'm just a bitter person, hey. Maybe I'm just bitter. And I was just like, yeah. And then when I had told my cousin about it, she's like, I just don't think you're ready yet, because I think you're still wrecked from what happened like however many years ago it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, maybe, but like at the same time, like, I'm trying to do things for myself. And she's like, that's good. And I was like, yeah, well, yeah, I'm not really into the dating scene at the moment. Like, but if it works for other people, it works for other people. At the moment, it's not working for me. And I ain't mad at it.
Yeah. So after going through all that, like, you know, do you feel like there's a better way to go out? If you were to date now, do you feel like there's a better way to go about it?
Oh, definitely. I feel like going through that helped me grow as well. Because I actually opened up to him about a lot. And then I realized, like, why open yourself up to someone that much if you don't think it's going to get you anywhere, or you don't think they're going to be a part of your life for so long? I probably won't be as open so quickly as I was with him. But that's probably because I have a lot of guard up. All for good reason. I reckon everyone has a lot of like walls up, all for good reason, you know, all for their own reasons. But to find the right person, I'm not looking. I'm not looking. If they will fall in my lap, if they do. But I don't want to go out there and try and search for something and not be happy with what I find because I was looking. I'd rather it just come to me because I'm not looking.
Yeah.
So if anyone's watching,
no, it's good. No, I see. No, something I see. Something I see every single day, and I feel like for me, just based on my observations of the dating culture, of how we interact now, especially with social media, I feel like the main problem. I feel like because I want to say something you said. You're afraid to invest your time, right?
Yeah.
You pay to invest your time and energy into something that won't work out, and I feel like that's how I think that's everybody, and especially for everybody that's watching this, especially when you've gone through, when you've gone through some type of relationship with somebody you really liked and didn't work out, and then when you come out of it, then the way we see it is like, man, I wasted all this time. Yeah. So I feel like the best way. I feel like what one of the main problems that we often do, and I did this I did this when I was younger, is when we don't communicate it, we're not open about our intentions in the beginning of the relationship, and I feel like that's very important in the beginning, to be absolutely open of like who you are and what you're expecting out of it and what you're looking for this relationship and your like intentions. So that way you can kind of figure out like, if this is the type of person I want to move forward with, I'll move forward with. Right? Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
No, that makes sense. I think, and depending on who you talk to, that's very confrontational. Like if you've just started talking to this person for like a month and you just turn around and be like, okay, so what are your intentions with me? Like, what do you want from this? Yeah.
Oh, and they're like, but the thing is, it's like, it's just how you say it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it always comes down to like not what you say. It's like how you say it. Of course, you can't just like meet them in the beginning and be like, hey man, this is my intention, but this is the list, right?
This is my criteria.
Right? No. So it's like, but the thing is, it's like it's don't be afraid to ask, right? Because I feel like when I meet somebody, because the thing is, the only way you can find out the true intention of somebody is, number one, like, is communicate. And the thing is, what I see a lot of times, like when we're younger, we're so afraid to ask, and we're not upfront in the beginning, and then we go. That's why like I think you mentioned before, like the guy was like, we're not even together.
Yeah.
All right.
Shame on me.
All right. So that's why it's very important for women and men. Like, don't be afraid to ask. Like, hey, what are we? And you just gotta use it. You gotta just gotta pick at the right moment. But the thing is, for me, is like there isn't never a right moment. Just if you just say it with just true compassion and love, like, hey, I really appreciate you. I love what we're doing here. We enjoy each other's time. But for me, like this, I just want to make sure. I want to know where this is going. And
oh my gosh, now that I'm hearing you say this stuff, I'm thinking back and I see so many red flags now. I was like, how did I not see it?
And if you're saying it that way, like if you guys having a good time and you guys, having a good time, you guys laughing, enjoying a moment, but just bring it up, like, hey, I love what we're doing here. We have enjoying a good time, but I just want to make sure I want to ask you. I just want to ask you because I appreciate you. You know, I love spending time with you. I want to make sure to know that what are we and what are we doing with this? Because because I see we have a great, I enjoy it. I want to make this, and don't be afraid to ask. I want to make sure this feels to make sure we're on the same page here. I want
on the same page.
Yeah, and then and that's the thing. And then and I feel like for everybody watching, I feel like communication is absolutely key, and being open about everything in the beginning. And because what happens is when there's no communication, then we're all assuming the worst. We're just assuming things, and then
definitely,
it really depends on who you talk to, because the lack of communication is really perfect for somebody that has the wrong intentions for you, because it keeps them off the hook. It allows them to use you for whatever purpose they use, and because there's no communication there, it actually works out better for that person. That's why it's important that's why it's important. When you meet somebody that's what I always tell people, like when you talk about the right people and the wrong people. The wrong people, they love that gray area. They love the uncommunication, because it allows them to be with you and just kind of get what they need from you. But when you meet the right man, when you meet the right man for you, like that person or the right woman, they're very clear what they want. Like they know what they want, and then they don't have time to waste. So the right man will just
don't make it known.
Hey, I like you, I appreciate you. Let's have some time. And but like I said, I want to make sure, like, I do want to date you and I do want to have a relationship with you. And sometimes what I see of a lot of girls, if you're not used to that, then when you meet like the right man or confident man, then that sometimes that's because you're so used to the games or the guys you're used to that never communicate with you. And when you meet somebody that communicates perfectly, that's foreign to you, and sometimes you push back on those guys. Oh, that guy is just too much.
Very foreign.
That makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like,
that makes lots of sense.
And like I know you mentioned like putting your guard up. I feel like that's like, I feel like it's. I feel like, but that's why I feel like that's why it's so important. Like you said, you took the time to find your happiness, and I feel like that's important. To take that time and be happy with yourself. So that way, when you meet people, you're not afraid to be who you are and give your love. And whether they take it, your love or not, that's up to them. But that's just you being yourself. And I see that a lot. Because like when you put your guard, like it's like they say, when you put your guard up, it just. But what I see for a lot of for what I see is just a lot of guys, like when they see, oops, my bad, guys.
It's okay.
When you put your So what I see when you put your guard up, it creates a lot of assumptions about you that they can't really know. Like you could be the greatest. You could be. I've seen a lot of women that they have like the best hearts, just so kind. Because I know them personally, but they have a big. But when they meet other people, like they put their guard up, and then when I talk to people, and then they're like, yeah, that girl is so like bougie or so stuck up, don't want to talk. I'm like, no, they're not. They're actually the best people ever.
Yeah,
but they
just gotta knock it down.
But they will never know that but I understand why people put the guard up, because they want to protect themselves from the wrong people. But that's why I always say, like, just the best thing to do is just like be happy first. That's the most important. Be happy, love yourself first. Make sure you're confident in yourself of what you have to offer. That way, you don't have to rely. You don't need anyone to make you happy, because you're already happy. And then and like I say, you said it perfect. You don't have to look for them. You just attract them. But you just live your life and be happy, do you, and you grow in life, in your career, what you do in life. Naturally, you're gonna attract the type of people that can. Because they see you being you and your natural personality and your vibes and your energy, they'll see it, and they'll know. Oh, that girl's serious. That girl, and of course you make it known, right? Hey, I'm about. If anybody wants to be in a relationship with me, it's gotta be serious. It's gotta be. There's no games.
I'm not here for any games.
Yeah, make it known, so that way the guys like, oh shoot, I don't want that. She's too serious for me. But then there'll be guys like, oh, I want that. That's what I'm looking for, and then that's what you're looking for, and that's who you attract. But the thing is, when you never, if you're not happy with who you are, you never upfront of your life and your beliefs and your values and what you're looking for, and don't make that known, then just that's where you attract a lot of the wrong people. But if you, like you say, if you're really upfront and open what you want and what you're looking for a man, I feel like that's for men. They're like, oh, that makes it easy because guys like we're not the best communicators in the world. That's what I'm saying.
I believe that.
Right. So like it's much easier. So for us also, like I always say, like for women, like if you communicate it and make it clear for us, it's easy. For the guys that are really attracted to you, like, oh, that's exactly what I want. And she said, okay, boom. And then they're gonna come to you. So yeah, it's like what do you like? There's a what do you think about that? Like there's a like open communication in the beginning and not the end.
I reckon it'll save a lot of time.
Yeah, right.
And it'll save a lot of feelings. That's for sure. But no, yeah, that sounds so much better than getting to the end and then being like, so I don't actually want this.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it'll save their time, your time, and your feelings. And who knows, in that space you could have found someone else that actually wanted you for what you're looking for, and not, get to end game and they're like, so yep, see ya.
Yeah.
Makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I remember like being younger and then just like well, when I was younger, I didn't really care about like the internal stuff. I was just more focused on the outside stuff. Like every guy, coming out of high school. But growing up now, I realized like at the end of the day, what keeps a relationship is the person, the beautiful person they are inside, but also like communication is absolutely upfront. And making sure we both know what we're bringing to the table and where we're going with this, because I see this a lot, especially my younger cousins and younger family members. Like like you said, they didn't even know purpose. You're just around each other. Nobody's really saying anything. You're just hoping for one person to say
something,
say something, everything that you want them to say. But then it's like
just read my mind.
Read my mind, because like, there's a lot of women like, please read my mind.
Yeah.
So
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, please say it. But that's not that doesn't work. Kind of communication is absolutely key. Like for you, like what do you look for? Like now as you've grown and now you're finding your own happiness now. Like what are you looking for in a guy now? Like what do you expect?
I don't really expect, and it's just someone who knows how to look after themselves and look after those around them. You know, I don't really want someone I have to baby, as sad as that sounds.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to look after someone. I want someone who knows how to look after themselves, because I know how to look after myself. And if we have to later on down the line, end up looking after each other, I don't want to, to be stuck, just me working, just me doing this, doing that, me paying for everything. Not that I'm opposed to, like, I'm happy to, pay for stuff, but as long as it's all reciprocated,
Yeah.
And someone just who knows themselves, not someone who's like still questioning who they are, because I feel like when you try and help someone find who they are, they end up outgrowing you. Does that make sense?
If you help somebody find who they are.
Yeah, I feel like when you meet someone who's at a different point in their life and you help them grow into, the person that they want to be, it could be either way. They could either stay with you or they feel like they could outgrow you. So I kind of want someone who knows where they are and, who's happy with themselves, so that I don't have to make someone happy, or I don't have to change anyone. Not that I want to change people. But I'd like to help someone be a better them and not change them into them. Does that make sense?
Oh, I think what you're saying is you don't want to rely on. I think the best way you can say it is like you want to find somebody that can add value to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens is sometimes when you find
that makes sense.
Yeah, because sometimes when you find somebody that hasn't figured out themselves, they're gonna rely on you. Well, and of course, if they haven't figured out, if they got issues, right, and then they rely on you to fix their issues, then it's not really about the relationship. It's they see you, what they're getting from you. Like you're actually, they rely on they're with you to fix them, but they're not with you because they're with you. If that makes sense. So they're like, it's not they're not being with you because of you. They're being with you because of what you have to offer them.
Yeah.
If
You
that
word
makes
it better
sense.
than I do.
Yeah, that makes sense. But if you just meet, like
English
you say,
is not my strong suit.
me either. I barely spoke this, barely learned how to speak. No, I do see the difference. That's why, I always tell people like, make sure you have people that add value to you. And if they add value to your life and you guys choose to be with each other, but you guys can just add value to each other. And, no one's like, there's like, it's not about changing, it's not trying to fix each other. It's just you guys just adding value to each other. But by being together, you guys become better people. And not only become better people, but you guys choose to be with each other. And there's like you said, there's no relying or there's no trying to force anything. It's just a natural because you guys like each other so much and choose it so much. You just want to help each other. Nothing, and not for the sake because I want to gain something out of you. It's just because it's just general like real love. Like I'm helping you not because I want you to because I don't see you as a problem or there's something wrong with you. I help you because I just want to help you because I like appreciate that person. So I know it's hard nowadays. Like it's a tough game. It's a tough game, especially with social media.
Social media, yeah, it's very tough.
We love it. So anybody that's watching, if you guys have any comments regarding our discussion about dating and relationships, you guys have your own thoughts about things, please drop a comment below. I'd definitely love to hear.
I'd love to see it too.
Hear your stories and hear your comments, and if you guys have your own personal stories that you wanna share, I would love to hear your story. You don't have to put any names or anything. I don't want people on blast, but but I would love to hear your stories and your comments on everything. I do want to transition into like a mental health. I know we talked about before in the podcast, to talk about mental health. I do want to talk about that. I feel like that's a big topic, especially within our generation, but also our community. So can you talk about your own experience with mental health? And not only for your own personal experience, but also what you see with your friends and the things that we all go through.
So anyone who's like super close to me, they know like mental health for me is like a big thing. So I went through it a lot in high school. I think it was like in my third year of high school. Mm-hmm. Like I fell like into like, I'd say like a deep depression. I was like self-harming. And so it was like a big shock to like my family when they did find out, because it was, mental health and, all of that is very foreign to Polynesians from the older generation. It's not something you can just like fix with a Band-Aid, have, take a Panadol or anything like that, rub some dirt in it or whatever. It's like it's an actual thing. So I remember when my school counselor found out, that I was self-harming and all of that, she was like, well, look, I have to tell your mom. And it wasn't the fact that she knew that, what I was doing made me upset. It was like the fact that, like, no, you're telling my mom, you can't tell my mom, And she was like, well, because it puts your life in danger, I actually do have to tell your mom. And I was like, okay, well, can I tell my mom? Because I don't want as bad as this sounds, I don't want some white lady going to tell my, Polynesian mom that her daughter needs help. Mm-hmm. Because how bad would that look on like my mom? And so I remember that night I waited till the very last moment possible before it was time to go to sleep to tell my mom, because I was like super scared, because when I was doing that, I had hidden, like my arms, everything. Like I was wearing jumpers, I was wearing long sleeves. It would be hot and I'd, have a jumper on. I'd be covering it up in any way I could possible. And then I had gone for my shower before bed, and I was brushing my teeth and I was taking my time. And my mom, she came in the bathroom and she yelled at me and she was like, "What's taking you so long? It's time to go to bed." And then she saw me and I looked upset and I was like, "Oh, I need to talk to you." And for me to turn around and tell my mom, like, I need to talk to you, like, talking to my mom when I was younger, like, always scared me because I could never tell what her, like, reaction was or anything like that, because she just had, like, a poker face, like, the whole time. And her poker face always looked mad. And, so I never knew what to expect. So I never, and as close as my mom and I are, I never would talk to her about anything like this, because it'd be stuff that I don't want to talk about because I didn't want to talk about it. And then I was just like, oh, can we go to your room and talk about it? And she was like, yeah. And I remember sitting on, the end of her bed, and I was upset, and she was getting sick and tired of me waiting, sick and tired of waiting for me to say something. And the first thing I said to her while I was crying was like, I'm sorry. And because I said I'm sorry and I was crying, she immediately thought the worst. She was like, what did you do? What happened? Like, what did you do this time? Because I was a bit of a little shit in school. But she's like, what is it? She's like, and I told her the story before I showed her. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, the counselor said I had to tell you because I had to let her know that I wasn't going to tell her if, the counselor said I had to tell her, that is the reason why I'm telling you. And I was like, she was going to call you and she was going to tell you, but I begged her and I asked her if I could tell you first and da-da-da-da. And then that scared my mom. Like, I could see it, like, through, like, all the tears. And then she's like, what did you do? And instead of telling her, I just showed her. Like, I, like, lifted my sleeves up. And she was shocked. Like, she was so shocked. And I think because when we tell people we're, like, depressed or we're upset, and people don't see the full extent to it. So I didn't want to tell her because that made it too real, it coming out of my mouth, but it wouldn't have been real for her. So I had to show her, so she knew, like, this, this is real. And when I showed her, like, she was like, I didn't even know what she was feeling, but I could see it in her. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, through tears. And, she was hugging me and she didn't say anything, but she was just hugging me. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And that, sorry. Yeah, that's all it was. Like, I could just cry and say I'm sorry. And because, we live with my auntie, uncle, and, their kids, so my cousins, I had to, like, walk down the hallway to go to my room to go to bed. She's like, it's okay, just, go to bed and I'll talk to you in the morning. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, do you want me to go get auntie? And she was just like, yeah. And then so because I was, red-faced, red eyes, still crying and everything, and I went to go tell my auntie, and I was like, she was like, what's wrong? Like, immediately. And she's just like, did something happen? And I was like, yeah, but can you go to mum because mum needs you? And she immediately, like, raced down to my mum's room, and and she was just holding my mum while she was crying. And I realized my auntie started crying, but she didn't know what was going on yet. And I was saying sorry to my auntie as well. I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And my mum was like, just go to bed, it's fine, just go to bed. And I realized she, like, it obviously wasn't fine, but she didn't want me there to see her break down, with what was happening. And it was like from then on, it was like I was on 24/7 watch. Like, everyone was watching me. And as much as it annoyed me, like, my family knew I needed that. They were like, nope, you need to be watched. I need you to, be alive. So it was just like my mum made me sleep with her for, I can't even remember how long it was, just so that I wasn't there by myself in my room surrounded with my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to talk about it. And so she'd be like, so how are you feeling today? What's going on in your mind? And I would not say a single word because I just didn't want to talk about it. Like, and I just wanted to, and it wasn't even like my mum who wanted to put a rug over it. It was me who wanted to put a rug over it. I was just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to listen. I don't want to do that. Meanwhile, inside, I'm actually, like, spiraling. And I'm just like, I just want everyone to leave me alone. Whereas my mum was trying to, like, help me, but I didn't want to be helped. And it was like, she'd give me like her laptop, and she's like, maybe if you type it, you type how you feel so you don't have to talk. And I just like, I don't feel like talking. I don't want to think. I don't want to do this. And it was like, she didn't want me on my phone or on social media or anything like that, because she didn't want any negativity, to pull me down worse. And I had remembered, it was one of the girls at school who told the counselor, because I had confided in her, and I had actually told her, like, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm sick of this feeling, da 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 da. And she knew that I was like self-harming. She was the one who told the counselor. And when I found that out, I was livid. I was so mad. I was like, who do you think you are to go and tell people, what I told you in confidence? But in hindsight, what I didn't see is she's actually looking out for me and caring for me, because I'm not looking out for me or caring for me. And so I remember, not everyone at school knew, but like a couple of people knew. And so they would always keep an eye on me. And the person who told the counselor, she went and told one of our head teachers who watches over all our, staff. And he made all my teachers, watch me. So if I had fallen asleep in class, they would just leave me to fall asleep in class, and they'd just hand me a sheet full of notes, at the end of class. Like, if I wasn't paying attention, or if I wasn't writing, or if I wasn't doing anything, I was just to be, like, left alone, just watch her, just report back to, how she is at the end of the day, da 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 da. And I found that out when I was like to my counselor, like, are the teachers like keeping notes on me or like watching me? Because I've been allowed to sleep in class, which I'm never allowed to do. I've been allowed to eat in class. I've not been doing anything, but they're giving me notes. And she's like, yeah, because everyone's just trying to, look out for you. We understand that like you're not in a good spot, but we still want you to, whenever you feel like yourself again. And I was like, I felt so offended, like whenever I feel like myself again, like it was just like not like that, but like whenever you're up to like back to doing to schoolwork properly, like your stuff is there for you. You're not like falling behind. So everyone was trying to do all this stuff to help me. And I just saw it as everyone like pitying me, like, don't feel sorry for me, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And then like I had to go see a counselor like outside of school. And I hated it. I hated it. So at first session I was in there, like my mum came in with me, and he was asking me all these questions, and he was like, do you want your mum to leave the room? And I was like, yeah, yep. Because I feel like saying it with her in the room, it was just like a lot.
Yeah.
So it was just like, a lot of questions like, how do you feel? Why does this make you feel like that? Is there anything, that makes you happy? Or, what happened, what triggered it, what, and it was just like a lot of things. Like, this was my third year of high school, and I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like I was just there, like there was like nothing really going for me. And as sad as that sounds, like I know I'm not the only person who's probably felt like that. And there's so many young Polynesian teenagers that have like taken their own life, and that have, let it all get to them, because they feel like nothing and no one is there for them. And what sucks is that's what it feels like, because that's all you can think. That's what you convince yourself. And, people can be like, oh, like, no, I am here for you. But it's like, no, you're here for me to a certain extent. You're not going to sit there with me while I have a mental breakdown, and listen to what I have to say. You're going to be there for the front of it, but not for like all of it. So I felt like that's what all my friends are like. All of my friends, and that's as sad as that sounds, it felt like that my family was like that too, because I didn't know how to talk to any of my family. The one person that I did talk to was that, one cousin. And she was just like, when I was talking to her, she'd cry to me over, FaceTime about how she felt and da, da, da. And as good as it felt to have, to vent to her and talk to her about it, I was just like, oh, but I don't want to hear the pity. I don't want to hear the, oh, but I'm here for you. I don't want to hear, like, just the way I was thinking was like, oh, I'll get over it if you treat me like, nothing's happened. So it wasn't like when people are like, oh yeah, like the older generation, think it's nothing. I was trying to think it was nothing because I didn't see it as a big deal until like later on in life where I thought I got over it, but I didn't. I was, my one of the cousins I lived with, she when I was in the bathroom, she noticed that I was self-harming again and she lost her shit. She was so mad. And then I was just like, oh well shit, I'm spiraling again. And then I remember breaking down in the middle of the living room and I was like, I'm so sorry, like this, like I can't feel anything except for this, like, like this is the only thing I can feel. And they were like, well, that's not a good thing. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't know how to help myself. And I didn't want to go and talk to anyone. I didn't want to go and, let someone else tell me like, this is what you're feeling. Or, I didn't want to hear it from anyone. Yeah. And that sucks to say. Like, I wanted to be the person to, essentially help myself because I didn't want to look at people. I didn't want people to look at me like, oh, she's so helpless. Or, so I was trying to sweep everything under the rug. But like there's still days now where I'm just like, oh, I'm like I'll have like a mental breakdown or I just want to be left alone or like I feel like I'm spiraling, but I catch myself because I know how to catch myself now. Whereas back then, the only thing, like I was saying when I was younger, like that I could feel is like any sort of pain that I could inflict on myself.
Yeah.
And it was a lot for my family to take in. Like I remember my mum, she had told one of the cousins that I grew up with, and he's someone that I looked at as a father figure. And he had just had, a daughter. I think she was like, at the time, like maybe 2 or 3. And then my mum was like, oh, he's coming to see you. And in my head, I was just like, why? He has a daughter to look after. But in hindsight, I was like, wait, like, that is someone who's a father figure to me. So I could like, I didn't know at the time that, well, maybe I'm a daughter figure or maybe I'm, a younger sister. Da, da, da. But like he flew over from New Zealand to here to, spend some time with me and look after me and, try and help me because no one knew how to help me. My mom was like, oh, well, we need outside help. And it was just like, I remember one night she was like counting how many, cuts there were that I had. And she's like, well, there's like 18 on this arm and da 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 da. And I was just like, well, yeah, like to me it was nothing. Mm-hmm. But like to everyone else, it was something. And that's what I didn't understand is like, bro, like it's nothing. Like just let me live my life. Like mum took me out of school for like, I don't know how long it was. I had to beg her to let me back at school. And she was like, yep, I'll buy you sweatbands and you can cover them up and da da da. And I was just like, cover them up. Like, who cares? But it's very confronting for other people to see. But, for me, I was just like, you know what? Like, so.
Yeah.
It was very like, I was so blasé and naive about, it all. But I knew what I was doing. I just didn't want anyone to like look at me and be like, oh, that's the girl that tried to, out herself. That's the girl who was, having a go in the counselor's office. That's the girl who broke down in the middle of da 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 da. I didn't want that name for myself, but I ended up digging myself a bigger hole by not wanting anyone's help, by not, saying anything, by not speaking, which sucks because I'm someone who tells people to speak up, but I can't do it myself. So like, you got to practice what you preach, but I can't do it because of how stubborn I am. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, when someone is like to me, oh, look, I'm like having a bad day. I was like, yeah, we all have our bad days. And I know, like, bro, I can have a bad week, a bad month. I could probably wake up in the middle of the night and start crying for whoever knows what, but I will never, tell myself to get help. Like, girl, you need help. I'm always like, no, I got me. Like, I can do this. I can pull myself out of it. Whereas I'm like to other people, like, if you ever need help, like, or you need someone to talk to, or you want me to come with you somewhere, or, anything like that, then I got you. But not to everyone else. I'm just like, bro, I'm asleep. like I'm having a bad day or like I'm spiraling, yeah, I'll catch myself when I catch myself. It's very like I don't know why I'm like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell everyone else to I can tell everyone else to do this and do that, but I'm just like, don't tell me to do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, dampen the mood a little bit.
No, I just want to say, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story and your experience with mental health. Um, I know that takes a lot of courage for you to share this, not only with me, but also to the people that's listening, because I do understand that there are a lot of people that are going through mental health issues, and there's a lot of misunderstanding of what you guys go through. So the fact that you shared it today, for everybody out that's watching that's going through it, I just want to say thank you. I just want to give you a big hug, big Polynesian hug right now.
Thank you.
Big Polynesian hug right now, all the way from Cali to you. But thank you for sharing your experience to let everybody know that's going through mental health issues. You're not alone. We're all going. You're all going through it. And like I said, it's something you just it's something you have to like. It's a process. It's not gonna
it's not
happen.
just gonna go
away. And also don't be afraid to get help.
Seriously. I'm trying to practice that.
Yeah.
I think like one of the biggest misconceptions is people think like being depressed is a feeling.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's a state.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, people are like, oh, I feel so depressed. But you don't feel depressed. You feel upset and sad and all those things in one. Whereas being depressed is a state you're in that, and it's the biggest mental block.
Yeah. They don't feel anything, right? It's a state
where
you don't feel anything.
It's a state where you don't feel anything and you don't understand how to feel anything. But it's a lot of emptiness.
Yeah.
And it's just you're spiraling by yourself, and to feel something or to want something is the easiest way is to inflict pain. And so that's what a lot of people do. And because you end up feeling like you're alone and that no one's with you and no one understands. And no one will probably understand how it makes you feel and how like your state is. But if there's someone that will sit there and listen to you, take it. Whether they're going to listen to you for 5 minutes or 5 hours, I'll take it. I can ramble on and on and on.
Yeah.
But even if it's not about how you feel or anything like that, if someone can just listen to you and you want to talk about music, you want to talk about food, you want to talk about the weather, talk about something that's going on.
Yeah.
Just to stimulate your mind more.
Mm-hmm. I do want to ask you, now you've gone a lot older, and you've gone with a lot of counselors and got a lot of help, and for you to start because like you said, when you're depressed in a state where you don't understand why you feel the feelings that you don't understand why you're depressed. That's something you have to figure out on your own, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm asking you is because I know there's probably a lot of people right now that are depressed, and because I feel like sometimes we lack emotional intelligence when we're younger, like to understand our feelings, and we don't know the difference.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, just looking back at your own journey, why do you feel like that? Where did that all come from? Do you feel like
where it all stemmed from?
Just if you look back now, you're older and you're trying to in your whole journey with mental health and trying to figure it out on your own. Like, where do you feel like all this came from?
I can't like pinpoint it, but I know it's from like not voicing anything. So I ended up bottling up a lot of emotions inside of me, and a lot of feeling and a lot of, what I thought that I kept to myself, that I let it like literally like eat me from the inside out, that I didn't know how to express it. And I ended up I put myself into that state. Like I ended up trying to block it out. And the only way I could block it out was to it's like a switch. Like I just switched off all feeling. And then it became a switch that I couldn't reach anymore. And I didn't understand how. And then I was just thinking all these bad things. I was just like, and as shitty as this sounds, it was just like, oh, so this is going to sound so bad. And when my mum watches this, I'm so sorry. But it was just like, okay, well, my dad left me when I was younger. Like, what's stopping anyone from leaving you now? Oh, yep. You know, your friends are like this. So what's going to stop them from doing that? Oh, you know, there's people that bully you in school. Yep. What I believed was true. Like, you know, and all of that stuff. You know, it was just like, you know, everyone's temporary. So why don't you be? And and that was the biggest thing I had to try and dig myself out of, is like, well, you can't be temporary. If you want to make your mark on this world, you got to be someone permanent. You got to live for something and, you know, do things and, you know, be things. And that's the hardest thing to do when you're a teenager in high school, you know, and you don't know your place in the world, is to think that I belong in the world. You know, and there's only so much love, you know, family can give you, that you think, you know, to me, I was like, yeah, my family love me, but they don't.
Yeah.
But I know they do. You know, I was just like, yeah, they only love me because they have to. They don't actually love me. You know, and it's just training your mind and your muscle, like, to outgrow all of these things that you think and you feel. And that's all I felt. Like, everything that I had felt when I was, you know, growing up, I had bottled into a bottle. And then I was just like, girl, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, see ya. Like, that's where it all came from. And it's like, now that I didn't have to like talk to a counselor to know where it came from, because I knew where it came from. Like, I stopped seeing a counselor because I hated hearing them talk to me like I was 5.
Yeah.
I hate it. So, you know, how are you today? And, you know, just answering questions with questions. And I was like, bro, I don't want to answer your questions. I want to answer my questions.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of like me writing in journals and then reading it like the next day or the next 2 days. Like, and I was like, that's how I felt that day. You know, that's how I felt, you know, because I feel like when I write stuff down, it's real.
Yeah.
Because I've written it. Not like when I type stuff down on a phone, I type stuff down on a computer, that's all electronic. I feel like there's a lot of emotion behind writing how I feel, and I can tell how I feel by like the change in my handwriting, or, you know, how something's like scribbled on the paper, like, and like music helped a lot, you know, because if I don't feel anything but music has a lot of emotion in it, I can feel the music. And that's, you know, that's something that helps a lot. And I appreciate music so much. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people do too. Like, because music helps a lot of people get through everything. But it was, you know, like I said, I hate asking for help. So it was a lot of, you know, diving into myself and being by myself, you know, and trying to, you know, learn my habits and learn what, you know, would trigger me sometimes, and learn, you know, all of those things. And I was just like, well, if I know all of these things and I, you know, teach myself to understand these things, that I know what I need to do to pull myself out of any kind of like spiral or any kind of, you know, rut that I'm digging myself into.
Yeah.
And that took a long time. That took right up until like this time last year for me to like fully understand and learn about myself, because there was a time, this time last year, I wasn't in a good spot and I didn't know why. And I was like, girl, what is wrong with you? And so I spent all of that month like writing and reading and listening to music. And because I wasn't sleeping as well, I was just like, well, if you're not going to sleep, you're going to, you know, listen to yourself and you're going to try and understand yourself and figure out what was wrong. And it was just old things that were coming back into my head, where I was like, bruh, this doesn't exist anymore. But it's only going to exist if you let it keep existing. So, it was just a lot.
Yeah, I'm just listening to what you said. You said that you know, your dad leaving you early in your life, and also being a single child.
You caught that.
Being a single child and experiences and being bullied. Because you feel like I'm just asking because I'm just based on what you share. Like you just felt like that your whole when you're growing up, you were just like you were all alone your whole life because there wasn't a lot of people there. And I'm assuming your mom was a single mom, so she works a lot and
so mom worked a lot.
Yeah,
and that's
so you spent a lot of time alone.
Yeah, and that sucks to say because like my mom was always around as much as she could be, and because I grew up with cousins, like they're not siblings, but they were always there. But I still felt by myself because they're siblings, but I'm their cousin, and that's their mom and dad. But that's my auntie and uncle. That's not mine. And then I remember when I was in high school, I found out that my dad had a son, so I have a half brother. But then I found out like my dad was raising his son, and I was just like, well, okay, like
what about you?
Okay, so what about me? But being an adult now, like I know that things change. So he couldn't have been ready for me then, but he was ready for his son at the time. He was ready for his son. And I didn't understand that when I was younger, and I understand that now, but I literally haven't had this conversation with him because like even my mom says it, like we don't know how to talk to each other. So I don't call my dad. Like I don't address him by anything. I'm just always like, oh hey, hey, and he'll know I'm talking to him. But when I say, like, to me, you know how my is a possessive term. To me, saying my dad isn't possessive to me. If I was just to say dad, because that's what people call their dad, that is more possessive to me than saying, oh, my dad, I'll talk about my dad. But I can't say just, oh, hey, dad,
because
that's too possessive.
Because when you say the word dad, there's a meanings behind it of what a dad should be, but he was never a dad to you. That's why it's hard for you to say that.
And then so like I remember when I met my brother for the first time, he was like, oh, hi sister, and I was like,
no.
But like because I'm older, I was just like, what in the world, like that is so foreign to me. And he was just like, oh, sister, and I'm just like, bro, I am like, as shitty as that sounds, I was like, bro, I am not your sister. Like, I mean, yes, I'm your sister, but bro, I don't know you like that. And it was because he was young. It was just very new to me, and I couldn't like hold that against him because like that is like my brother, And
he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, he's like, oh, dad wants us to do this, and dad wants us to do, oh, dad's gonna take us here, and I was just like, oh, what do you mean, like? Just met you, like, kid, I just met you. But yeah, it was a lot of that, and I was just like, bro, you can bring up the sun, but like, hi, I'm still like back in, lost in the wind somewhere. But like, now that my mom and my dad got married a couple of years ago, and they're raising my brother, my half brother, but my brother, together, and all of that, I'm just like, I'm here too.
Hey,
like, because they live in NZ, and my mom, she grills me about not messaging her every day, like, because as sad as it sounds, sometimes I'll forget. I'll go to work and I'll come home and I'm like, I'm tired, and then I'll forget to check like my stuff, and my mom's like, I messaged you, or I sent you a Snapchat, or I replied to your Instagram story, because I have her on Instagram and Snapchat and everything, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. So I always try and keep up to date, and so like my dad will be always there, and he'll be like, oh, hi daughter, da, 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 da. He'll talk to me, and I'll talk back, and then he's like, oh yeah, I love you, and I'm just like, okay, because I know that he has that love for me, because he's had that love for me, from when I was younger, and obviously even though he did left, like, he knows I'm his daughter, and he loves, but I don't know how to express that love back. And my mom and I have had this conversation before. It's like, she's always said, well, you don't want to leave it until it's too late. You don't want to regret anything. And she's right, like 100%. I don't want to leave like this conversation or anything for when it's too late, but I'm not ready for it. But I want to be ready before it's too late, obviously. I just don't know how to prepare myself because my mom always says like we're the same person. Like we're both
Yeah.
stubborn. I'm identical to him. And I'm just like, and she's like, no, don't, it's true. And I'm like, yeah, it probably is true. But
yeah.
But
yeah. I'm just listening again. It just, for me, it just sounds like the most, when you grew up in like the most important people in your life was like just never there, and emotionally, physically they could say, hey, physically, because it's family members, but emotionally you just never saw that from the closest people. Well, especially from the people that usually from a child, like the closest people that you always expect like pure love from is from your parents,
yeah.
And it's, so I feel like that sometimes if a child, and just based on my what you shared today and what people have shared with me, they've gone through experiences like that, that if you don't see that really early, that can that can really affect your mental health early, growing up as a child. Especially Polynesians, we're very non-expressive.
Yeah. So
right from the beginning.
I didn't know how to talk to my mom. Because I'm just like, yeah, but how do I talk to her? Yeah. Like I just didn't know how to like have a conversation with her that expressed how I felt, because I always felt that I'd get in trouble if I say something like that. Or it'd be like back chat, or I don't want to get a slap for answering back, or talking this way or talking that way. But I was just like, yeah, I feel like going through what I went through, it kind of opened the door for mum and I to talk about stuff emotionally, but I still don't know how to do it.
Yeah, because you're not accustomed to it growing up, right?
Yeah.
Right. And thank you for sharing that, by the way, because I feel like that's something that's missing within the dynamic of the Polynesian family or household or culture, is like, it is so, because I grew up with Polynesian parents, and I was raised by a grandma, but looking back in my own life, my grandma, like my parents, I identify them as
your parents,
as my parents, because biologically that's my parents, but oftentimes I don't feel that emotional connection with them because we never had it. Like we never talked emotionally.
Yeah.
Whenever we talked, it was because like they needed something from me. They, hey, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. Yeah. Of course, they did birthdays and everything, but I don't have the emotional connection with my parents or my parents. I do have emotional connection with my grandma because she raised me.
Yeah.
My parents, as soon as I was born, they couldn't. They sent me to my grandma to live with my grandma. So I grew up more with my grandma, and so I'm more emotionally attached to my grandma than my own parents. But because I never had that communication and I never had the emotional conversations with my parents, I never developed that. So, and the reason why I want to share this with everybody out there, for the parents, if you're a parent right now, if you're older generation now, it's so important, I believe, to develop that connection early with your kids. Because a lot of my friends I talk to right now that deal with that mental, that go through their own phases of mental health, they all always express the same thing. Is like their parents either don't understand them, or they never had their parents are just, because Polynesian parents they have that tough love. They have that tough exterior. They're very tough. Because we can't speak about our emotions and what we go through. Like you said, you had all these emotions bottled up within you, and then you can't talk about it. It just eats you up from the inside, and then and then we have to find some type of outlet to let that go, to feel something, and then then that sometimes it leads to, sometimes we do things to ourselves that can harm ourselves. So yeah, that's why I always like, and then encourage everybody, communication. Check up on your kids, communicate with them emotionally. It's okay to like tell them I love you, and if you're a parent, like I never got the I love you conversation. Hey, sitting there, I'm just looking back right now, I don't think I ever got that identity. I'm a parent just sitting down like, hey, I love you. I think the only time I heard "I love you" was like birthdays or something. You said like, there had to be some kind of event going on or something.
Event going?
Or accomplishment. I did something, but never like just walking. I never got that. Just hey, come here, and say I love you. And and like I said, my parents, I love and but me growing up older now, I understand that it's not that's just how my parents are. So our parents grew up in a different time. They were raised by their parents. That's how they were raised by their parents. So that's why I'm so happy. Like thank you for sharing your experience, because I feel like it's the problem with when it comes to mental health within the Polynesian community is because of the lack of knowledge, the lack of awareness, because we don't know about these things, because we don't know how how people with mental health feel and don't understand why they do certain things. And because of that, then that's why like these things happen. And I'm so glad that you're talking about it. So now they can get a perspective. This is what people who go through situations like yourself feel. This is why you guys feel. This is why you guys
That's
do.
Hilarious.
So that way, like now we can find some kind of common ground and come together and figure these things out. So to say thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. Giving us
you.
a platform to say something.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I really respect you. I really appreciate you doing this because I feel like that's it. Like because I know what most people do, and you said it best. Our first response when we see somebody struggling with mental health, our first response is either criticism or pity.
Yeah.
And you said that you don't want people to feel pity for you, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's unnatural. I see that a lot. As soon as Polynesians or people in general, they see somebody going mental health, they're like, oh, I feel sorry for her, or like, oh, they'll say something, they'll say some critical thing, not knowing what they're really going through. But honestly, like, I want to ask you, like when people going through stuff, like the only thing you want is like understanding and love.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, so like when you were going through your phase, like what was like you didn't want people to pity you, you didn't want people to tell you how to feel or tell you what to do. Like what did you really want? Just looking back at it now, that you feel like it definitely could have helped.
Well, at the time I just wanted people to leave me alone. which is what
space. Space.
Yeah.
No, leave it alone. Space. That's a better word. Space.
Yeah.
You just want your space.
But they didn't want to give me space because they didn't know where my head was at, which was fair enough.
Yeah, because
they just knew.
Don't know. Just don't know. Yeah, they just don't know.
Yeah. And I guess not that I wanted people to be there. I just wanted to be seen, I guess.
Got you.
Like
appreciated, maybe.
Yeah. I just and I didn't need people to like listen to me. Because they could see what was going on, I just needed people to see and understand that, I'm not doing well, but I don't need you. Like, I didn't need to be babied, and I didn't want to be babied at all. I had a lot of love, from my mom. Like every night, it was like, you always make sure you say, I love you to like my auntie, my uncle. Like you have to say, like, I love you, good night. It was no just good night. You always had to tell the person that they love them. And now that I'm older, my mom and I, we fight about who says I love you the last person to say I love you. So we'll be having a conversation, and whoever says it the last wins, and I'm just like, yep, I won. But it was it was just a lot of like, I need you to see and understand that I'm here and I'm not well, but I don't want you to baby me. Like, I don't need, like, I hated all the questions. I hated all, like but, she looks so sad. Like, yeah, I know I do. Like, I am. But, like, I need you to understand that there's I'm trying to find a reason behind it. I don't need you to, like, sit there and ask me questions that I don't know the answer to and then watch me get mad. Because that's what I hated the most is, just the questions. Like, oh, but why? But why? Yeah. No, but like, I know you did it, but why? because that would just make me mad. It just gets you really agitated. And I appreciate those who would ask me questions, and I was just like, I don't want to answer your questions, and they'd just leave it there. But then there'd be people,
got you.
yeah, there'd be people that are just like, yeah, okay, but I know you were doing that, but like, why did you do it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why I did it, but like, I did it to feel like some kind of way. And yeah.
And that's a good point that you shared, that especially if you're listening to this, and if you're gonna have somebody that's going through some kind of mental health in their life, that a lot of especially young kids, a lot of people, when they go through mental health experiences, like a lot of them don't even know why they're going through it.
Yeah.
So when you kind of like try to dig deeper or ask them a bit, or very direct on your questioning, when they don't even know the answer to those questions, sometimes they feel like you're attacking them. I don't know if that's the right word. Like you feel attacked, like you're attacking, and you also feel like that look, I just told you my answer. Then you feel like they don't care what you're not feeling heard.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, they think that's not a good enough answer, and I was like, yeah, well, I don't have the answer for you.
Exactly.
And it's not like, people are asking, you never know if people are asking because they care, or if they're asking because they know you. But it's just like, I'm giving everyone the same answer because I haven't figured out the answer yet. Like, if I figure it out, yep, I will tell you what is going on, because I feel like everyone needs to know, this whole bunch of different like scenarios that people feel. But if I can tell you my scenario and you relate to that, I will tell you. But I didn't know at the time, so I was just like, I don't know. And to people, that's an invalid answer, but it's okay to say I don't know.
So for you just wanted space.
I just wanted space. I just wanted to be seen and just understand.
I'll be understood. Yeah. Yes, I'm so happy you. Thank you for sharing that, because I feel like it's so valuable that you're sharing your perspective, so people can understand that when you meet people like that, give them their space, be there for them to listen to what they say, and just be. I feel like the best way, in my personal opinion, just be there for support. Just be a support system. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not here for questioning. I'm just here for you. Whatever you need from me, I'm gonna be that person. If you need me to listen, I can listen. If you want me to ask questions, I'll ask questions. Whatever. Like, I feel like that's the best way to approach it. Like, don't try to force anything.
Don't try to force anything, and don't try and give them pity, because that's what someone will hate the most. Like,
just be a support system. Whatever that support system, whatever they need from you, depending on the person. If they need you, just be there. And I feel like, and you see something, like you just want to be seen, right? You just want to know that you have your worth, you have some kind of worth of value and significance in this world, and you just need to know that. So, like, for everybody out there, like, this is what I do, because I have friends that go through mental health issues, and when they do hit me up and ask them, like, for me, I'm just like, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need from me? That's all I say. What do you need from me? I got you. I don't ask.
And sometimes
questions.
That's enough. Yeah. Like, that's enough for someone.
All I say is, hey, I love you. I'm always here for you. And then when you do call me, hey, I also let you. But all I say is, like, what do you need from me? I got you. Do we need to go get some food, or do we need to go out? Do we need to go do you need to play some music? Like, what I always ask, like, whatever you need from me, just tell me. I'm here for you, and that's it. And that's all I do. I just give them the unconditional support to let them know that whatever they're going through, I'm just here for you. And I feel like that always worked for my friends. And I feel like that's almost the same thing for you. Like, you wanted that support system from people, and without the judgment, without the criticism, without the questions, without the pity.
Definitely without the questions. I didn't need questions.
Yeah, you just wanted that. You just wanted that unconditional emotional love and support, and that's all you needed. I think one of my favorite quotes in life, I always love this quote, is like, it's not our job to fix somebody. Our job is to love them and let them fix themselves. And so, don't try to go out there and be a Dr. Phil. You're not a Dr. Phil. Nobody here I mean, unless you have a, professional, but I'm saying is don't assume. Just don't assume things. Don't just be that person that they need you to be. And I feel like that's the best method. And I'm so glad that you shared that with you, because because like I told you before, I feel like that's the problem. Nobody, because we're not educated on mental health, because we don't talk about these topics, then a lot of times like we go about it the wrong way. And sometimes more than often that can hurt the person that's that can actually cause more suffering to the person that's going through it, then because they don't know how to deal with that person. So I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, and because this is a conversation that need to be to have, and everybody that's watching, that's I'm so glad we talked about it. So that way, if somebody's going through something, just be that person that they need. Just give them the undivided, unconditional emotional love and support, and that and be that person they need you to be. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I reckon you said it perfectly.
Yeah.
What a big topic.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you again for you for sharing that. And because I feel like that's something that definitely needs to be heard. And so people can see things from your perspective, see things from your side of the story. So we can figure out these things. And like you said, like I always tell people, it's just, these are things we just gotta, it's not about right or wrong. We just gotta figure things out to do better. So I do want to ask you, I feel like that, I'm sure that you've what you've gone through in your life, and I probably know that you probably went through some kind of healing or some kind of self-love journey to figure yourself out. I feel like that's something that you did you ever go, did you go through any kind of something like that, after all that you went through and you trying to figure out yourself?
Yeah, I'd like to say yes. And it was like when I left high school, I cut everyone off, like through a text. Except for like my 3 best friends that I still have from high school that I'm super close with now, I texted everyone at the end of that school year after our like massive graduation party, hey, thanks for everything, but I don't want to be friends anymore. That's what I said.
Yeah,
so I sent that out to quite a lot of people. And because when you think about it, sometimes you're only friends with those people because you see them every day.
Yeah.
And that's like at work as well. You're only friends with these people because you see them all the time.
That's true. Yeah.
And it was like, well, I had to think about like who is valuable in my life and do they bring value like to me? Do they make up like who I am? So yes, like, my best friends, my family. And it was like, I don't need to please or have so many people in my life if no one's going to mean anything. I'd rather have a small amount of people and they mean everything. But it was like a lot of that, and it was like a lot of thinking by myself, and like I said earlier, like it was a lot of writing and listening to music. It was coming out of when you earn your own money and you can buy your own clothes, it's like, okay, well, what can I buy myself to wear? What's going to make me feel good? And it was just like a lot of that, just feeding into my own, self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, my ego, and giving myself something to be proud of and giving myself something to also work on. Like, I'm like, yes, I look good like this, or yes, it's so great that I'm doing this, but how can I also improve and make it a little bit better, down the line. And so even with jobs, like, yes, I love this job, but what else can I do? So I've worked in like hospitality, I've worked in tourism, I've worked at a supermarket, I worked in retail, and it's just like, well, where else can, like I dip my feet into, what else can I do for myself? And it's like a lot of learning, like along the way, like the more I can learn, like the better. And I love learning like hands-on. So if I can learn something and apply it to me and my lifestyle and my growth, then I will 110% like take it on board and like do what I can to help myself. I still feel like now, like I'm in that phase of like, glowing up and being a better person and, working on myself for myself, because I don't think that ever ends. I always think
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
always, better yourself. Um, and that's, I guess, what I have been doing for like the last year. Like if you like contacted me like last year or the year before and asked me to do this, I most likely would have said no.
Yeah.
I would have been like, no, like not my thing, don't want to do it, don't want to talk about myself, don't want to,
Crazy.
dive into it. But like over the last year, because I have like brought myself out of my shell and, done more and, thought more of myself and all of that, like, yeah, I was more than happy to do this and talk about it and, talk about the tough topics and all of that, because it's not just me, like someone else needs to hear this too. And if they have a solution for me and how to, ask for help, then I'm willing to listen.
Exactly. Yeah. I do want to ask you, you like you said, you spent some time in the past year trying to work on yourself and improve yourself. Um, what's what was something that you had to that you feel like that it was a part of who it was part of who you are before, but it was something that within yourself that you had to learn to change, and it was really really hard to to uh I guess to let that go or to change that out of behavior or way of thinking that you of the or perspective how you saw yourself, because I feel like in every self-love journey of trying to figure out who you are, there's a lot of unlearning a lot of things. You have to learn to unlearn a lot of things that you know for a fact that it's actually, like you said, it's not adding any kind of value to who you are. So can you do you have any like any kind of what are things about yourself that you had to unlearn because you realized it wasn't adding value to your happiness and to your growth? And if you don't mind sharing that with everybody.
um it's hard to unlearn something about yourself because
Yeah,
you would have
because
been with it for so long.
yeah,
um so it's just like a lot of, like, for me, because I'm like so set on being the person that I am, it was just like a lot of little things. It was like, you know, um, the times I go to bed or how many hours I go to sleep, because I wasn't getting like any sleep at all, or like if that. It was a lot of like motivating myself because I was such an unmotivated person that I was just like, like if I don't need to do it now, I can do it tomorrow.
yeah,
Like getting out of that was super hard.
yeah,
And I remember I had this conversation with my boss, and she was like to me, you need to remember that if you push something back, the load just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you
yeah,
say, nah, I'll just worry about it tomorrow, that's an extra thing you have to worry about on top of the stuff that you already worry about for the next
yeah,
day.
yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to like learn how to take, stuff on the chin and just,
Go.
do it day by day,
Yeah,
and, not be lazy and not, put things off. So I'd put things off, like, oh, I need to go to the supermarket. Like it could have been little things. Oh, I need to go to the supermarket. Like, yeah, sweet, I'll go tomorrow. I wouldn't go tomorrow. I'd just end up not going. Or it would be like, oh, I need to go get, something for my car, or I need to buy a car, or oh, I need to, go somewhere, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I put off like, until last year, I put off like eating healthy and like, exercise and all of that. And I was just like, no, like if I kept putting it off, and now look, your girl's struggling. And so it was like
yeah,
last year, it was like a lot of, okay, it was just a lot of discipline. So I had to unteach myself, being lazy and lack of motivation, and then teach myself discipline.
yes.
That was hard. Like it was like, nope, you
I
already
love
know
that.
you need like 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I don't know what you're doing up this late. You know, you can watch this tomorrow. It'll be there tomorrow. But your hours of sleep are not gonna, help you tomorrow. Um, it was, like, finding a balance between like eating healthy, exercise, and going to work, and then just doing stuff for me on the side, whether it be like going for a drive, or writing some notes down, or trying to work on something to do for myself in future, any of that. It was a lot of little things that turned into a big thing for me, and I think discipline is one of the hardest things to teach yourself if you've given yourself nothing, for however many years.
It's thank you for sharing that, by the way. I'm glad you brought up discipline. No, because I forgot who said it. I was watching this motivational speaker. I don't know, I forgot who said it, but he said that the very definition of self-love is discipline. Self-discipline, the ability to be disciplined, to always choose what's best for you. And he said that's what discipline is choosing, always doing things, or choosing things that's always within your own best interest, regardless of how difficult it is, regardless how painful it is, or how tiring it is. Learning self-discipline is a true definition of self-love, that you love yourself so much, that you're willing to stop doing the things that you won't do, but it's fact that I'm going to do it because I love myself so much. And you said it very like eloquently, like if you grew up your whole life without the discipline to choose yourself first and love yourself first, and that's how you grew up, it's very, very hard to have discipline. And that's why I really believe that it's the journey that we all have to go through. And I can relate to myself, and there've been time, at this point in my life right now, I'm a very disciplined person. Like, it's like almost like militant, like a military. But it's just, for me, is like I've got to a point right now, is like, I'm older now, so like if it doesn't add value to my life, then I don't even add. If it doesn't add value, make me happy, or help out my dream, my goals, then I don't really add that thing into my life. And I've always seen that in my own experience, that whenever you allow things into your life that doesn't add any value, usually that always comes in some kind of form of pain. But I'm so happy that you shared that. So for everybody that's listening out there, just try to, like, I love the way you said it. It wasn't automatically just overnight. This is an ongoing process. You're working on every single. To wake up one day like, I love myself.
Like I'm still like trying to like learn like discipline. Like my mom came and visited. When did she come? She came last year, and she was here for a little bit. And I had like stopped all so I didn't go to the gym. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. And then when she left, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go back. And I put it off for so long. And I only just recently went back, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid for stopping like for so long, because now you got to like reteach yourself like all that stuff you already knew, but now my body's not used to it. So I was just like, good job. Lesson learned.
Yeah. Well, great job, by the way. Great job.
Thanks.
Yeah. So that's it. It's just every single day, try to do something that's gonna improve yourself. For me, like whenever I make a decision, I always ask, when I make a decision, I always ask myself, okay, this is gonna make me better, it's gonna make me happy, it's gonna help me towards my goals and dreams. If it's none of those
three, no benefits,
it's cool, I'm not doing it. So yeah, definitely for sharing that. And definitely support you in your growth journey. I'm excited to see your growth. Now we're friends now. And I'll follow you on social media. I'm definitely excited to see your growth in your journey, and definitely support you in everything you do. For you, I want to ask you, what was the biggest, I guess I want to ask you, like, what's the biggest thing that's changed in your life so far within yourself? After everything you went through, and now you're working on a self-love journey, what's something that you've learned to do that I guess a part of your character, a part of your foundation that you've never had before, but because of yourself, because of your journey now it's something that's a part of you now that you learn to add to yourself. It can be like a quality, it can be an attribute, it can be a trait.
No, I think I don't really know, because I feel like I'm like not fully there yet, but I've learned to, like, from the internet, I've learned to enjoy my time by myself.
Okay.
Like
good.
I've learned
Yeah.
to, like, being alone and feeling alone, like I've learned like the difference, and having that time to, be by yourself.
And
Like,
still be
I've
happy.
learned, yeah. And I've learned so much more about myself by being by myself than like just being alone.
Yeah.
Like I learned to enjoy my own company and, what I can do by myself and, how I spend my time. Because I feel like before I couldn't be by myself because I just thought like all these negative things. Whereas now I'm just like, yep, I can be by myself. I've got things to work on. I've got goals to make. I've got, all this stuff to do, that it becomes enjoyable and it doesn't feel like a burden or a hassle, or that I have to try and look after myself, like, because I'm already looked after. But yeah, I think that took a lot. Like it took a lot to learn as well, to like learn how to be by myself. But yeah, like I don't have anything like major because I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to learn.
And that's good. No, like you said, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yeah.
You can be absolutely alone and be absolutely confident and happy with yourself. But I always tell people, and I always hear this from a lot of my mentors. They always tell me, like, I feel like everybody should, I feel like everybody should take some time and spend time by yourself.
Yeah.
And really, really, really get to know like who you are as a person. And I feel like that's something that's much needed for anybody that, in anybody's journey of life, just because you can't really figure out yourself if you're always around people, because you don't really know, like, if your thoughts or your beliefs, is that really yours or is that around the people you're around? And I feel like in life, it's so important to know, like what are your values? What do you believe in? What makes you happy? What are your thoughts? Where do you see yourself? How do you see yourself? I feel like those answers can only be answered when you're alone, not like when nobody's around. You can really look yourself in the mirror. Okay, what do I really see about myself? How do I really, really feel about myself? What do I really believe about myself? What are the things what are the things that make me happy? What are the things that don't make me happy? Because a lot of times, especially, depending on how you grew up, a lot of times, like, we just want to fit in.
Yeah. You just
right?
want to be part of the group.
You're part of the group. And so that means you don't know. So because you're trying to fit in so much, you don't know if your values are really your values. Is it the value of the group, or is it your own value? Is that how you really think? Or is that
you just trying to fit in, or?
Yeah. So that's why.
Yeah. Trying to stand out, not fit in.
Yeah. And one of my favorite quotes is like, when God created us, we're all, he created us all beautiful, unique, different. And he didn't create us to be the same like everybody else, like to fit it. He created us to stand out. Like, and to truly know your own worth value, like you have to figure that on. You have to spend some time with yourself to really, really know your own worth and your own value, which is limitless. Everybody's worth and value is limitless, right? But I'm saying is for you to know that, you got to spend time around, because sometimes, like I said, if you grow up in a nice, there is a, I do know that some people that grew up with the most loving parents, most loving family. If you grew up in a loving parent, loving family, hey, all power to you. You're one of those lucky few in this world that you just grew up with the right parents and the right household with the right understanding. And there are some people that are lucky like that. But for a lot of us, we go through some shit.
Yeah, for a lot of us.
A lot of us, shit's not perfect. It's not rainbow and sunshine. Like some people's lives, we go through a lot of things that most people have never gone through. And in your experience, you've gone through some things that most people will never ever experience in their life. On your very, but it does happen in real life, and that's why I always tell people it's always good to spend some time alone to figure out who you are, especially if you're going through something. especially if you're going to do something, please take that time and not try to mask it by being with other people and mask it. Like you said, just putting it you're just putting it off. I'll put it off.
Yeah.
But then you're just adding more and more and more shit.
Yeah. And it ends up piling up.
And then eventually becomes too heavy one day, and then it just you break down. So yeah, much love to everybody. And I'm so saying thank you for sharing your mental your journey with mental health and your journey about talking about yourself, trying to figure out who you are. And so let you know if you need something, you need somebody to talk to, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Just put it out there to let you know. And also everybody out there, if you're going through something and nobody's giving you any time of day and nobody's reaching out to you, feel free to contact me through my platforms. I'll find some time. At the end of the day, I just want everybody to be happy. I don't want anybody to do anything to themselves. I just want you guys to figure it. Like I said, just some things in life. I truly believe this. In life, it wasn't meant for us to travel alone. Nobody, you're meant to surround us. Part of our journey in life is finding the right people, your tribe, your circle, and those are the people you're gonna go travel, take your journey with in life. So, but I do want to put it out there. If anybody, if you need help, need somebody to talk to, don't be afraid to reach out. But I guess I guess that's why I know that was the main topic you wanted to talk about was mental health. I know we covered a lot of things. We covered your life. We covered mental health. And just I want to say thank you so much for sharing your experience with your mental health journey, because I know a lot of people are going through it, and I'm just so happy that we got to share it today, because I know it's going to impact so many people today. So thank you so much. But I know we've probably got to come to the end of the podcast.
All right.
So I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time out of your day and having the courage today to share not only your life experiences of your life, but also sharing a lot of the things that you went through. So family, yeah, it's all good. It's a poly house. That's normal. I guess the very last thing I want to ask you, if you don't mind.
That's right.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. We got another guest. on the show.
You gotta go. You sit there and play with that. Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh. Sorry.
That just gave me some flashbacks to my own childhood memories. Take them away. I do want to. One thing I do for every guest on my show, I always ask them to end up the podcast, and you can just share some final thoughts, some final words of wisdom for everybody out there, and we'll end the podcast off with that.
All right. So thank you again for giving me like a platform to speak on, and for letting people talk, with no judgment, just letting them ramble and talk about, whatever they feel like, whatever they want, sharing as much as they can. Mm-hmm. My thing, and I think I'll have to do this for myself, is it's okay to ask for help. Like, I need to learn that too. Like, it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't make you a weak person. It actually makes you stronger. Like, you identify that you do need help, and no matter how big or small, like it is, like you could need help. Like I said, like I was stuck in a car park and I needed help, or you could need help, like mentally. Like it's not a shameful thing, and like don't go and brush it under the carpet like I did. There are people out there that are going through similar things that you go through, so know that you aren't alone, and that there always is someone to talk to. But yeah, like I've enjoyed sharing my story, so hopefully this does help other people, or it helps other people recognize that damn, they need help too, or or you're just here for a laugh, or just listen to me ramble. Either way, like if any help can be, offered, or if any help is needed, like, yeah, I'll put my hand up to help someone. But I need to learn how to ask for help as well. So I'll learn that hopefully.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna go ahead and press the stop button, and I'm gonna talk to you right after. Okay. Say goodbye,
Okay,
everybody.
cool. All right, see you. Thank you.